guilty of crime.
Well, so far, so good. If y'all can see me, let me know. As you can see, actually, I got to do it this way. It's like the opposite. I am Jay Scott with Guilty of Crime, the host, the hostess with the mostest. Come on in, guys. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. Listen, guys, this Nancy Guthrie case it boggles my mind and I can't get away from it. Yesterday, while I was doing the Corey Richards case, while I was presenting it, I was still looking up what's happening with Nancy, what's going on. So finally, today we're on day 24, guys. And what if the Nancy Guthrie case was never about a ransom at all? Then what would it be? Now, the DNA seems to be failing. And at this point, the DNA that law enforcement has extracted is a failure thus far. Can you believe that? It could take up to a year to figure it out because it's so degraded. And they did different things with it. They sent it there. They didn't send it to that one. So we got FBI and Pima County at it while DNA is failing. They're not going to be able to use that because they're arguing over where to send it to. Now, of course, we got $1 million reward, which in my opinion, I believe that reward is more of a bounty hunting reward than anything else. All right. Than anything else, I think the kidnappers have a bounty hunting price on their head of up to $1 million. I don't think that the Guthries, including Savannah, believes her mom is no longer alive, and new search efforts to recover Nancy are happening. So we're gonna get all of that in today. Yes, the DNA is mixed together, but not just because the DNA was mixed together. It's because of the degradation and the fact that it didn't go where it was supposed to. So it might not be enough to find anybody at this point. So we're going to get into all of it. I was thinking that revenge was another one. We thought it was about the inheritance, but I'm backing off of the family for now. But we're going to listen to all this and read and get into it. You guys know that the United Cajun Search and Rescue Volunteer is ready, which means that they're trying to recover a body. So we're going to go over all that today. My computer was being crazy. I could not even put up a picture of anything. So what I'm going to do right now is just get into this. You guys come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can. I'll start off this way with the United Cajun Navy Search and Rescue Volunteer waiting. And then we're going to talk about all of the evidence that we have, the $1 million reward, what it means, what Savannah was getting out of that when you break it down, and the new search effort. So, hello, everybody. How you doing? Good to see you. Come on in. Sandy, what's up? Is it Sandy Riggs or is it Sander Riggs? Anyhow, what's up? Good to see you. Brazuda. These names sometimes I can't pronounce. Marie Joy, how you doing? Nancy Fleming, good to see you. Always a pleasure. Kathy, and hope your channel's doing well. Sadie's mama. Yeah, I gotta dig into this myself because it's really bothering me about some of the direction the case is going and what they're saying. And you guys know, we're slowly rolling in today, right? But the 80 people that are here, or maybe more, that have been watching my coverage know that we've been saying that it was multiple people several times. Now I pose the question, were those multiple people, or was it just because it's different days? That's a huge discussion today that we're going to talk about. But let's get into the first part of the Nancy Guthrie case and what's happening. What's up, Janet? Good to see you, my friend. How's everybody doing? It seems like everybody's doing something. I know there's storms going on, so prayers for those that can't leave the house, or prayers for those that need them. All right. Yeah, Mama Sage, thank you for that. Sadie's mama always can use prayers. Different days. All right, listen. Let's get into this. United Cajun Navy search and rescue volunteer are standing ready to help in the search for Nancy Guthrie. All right. That's good to hear. But at the same time, it's like a rescue, a body recovery, in my opinion. Let's hope they don't have an ad on this.
Billions of neurons, each one carrying the story of who we are. At Oxnard.
Why would they not? I'll wait for that to play. Anyway, New Orleans, the United Cajun Navy standing ready to assist in the search for Nancy. Guys, the mother of today's show host, Savannah Guthrie. And after this, we're going to hear Savannah plead for her mom to come home. And if she's with the Lord already, they want her body. They made me wait that long.
Search and rescue volunteer.
They made me wait that long.
Cajun Navy is standing ready to help in the search for Nancy Guthrie. According to Brian Trasher with the group, one certified search and rescue volunteer is in Tucson right now. We're told he's assessing the needs at the request of local volunteer groups. Trasher says that the Guthrie family has not requested their help, but this all comes as the Pima County Sheriff's Department posted on social media asking for volunteers and search groups to give investigators the space they need to do their work. Well, we're still seeing some travel chaos.
All right.
Cajun Navy is standing ready to help in the search for Nancy.
I wanted you guys to know that the search is getting larger. There's a private investigator, which you did know about, I believe. All right. And well, there's a new Instagram post, and according to Savannah, in my opinion, we're going to break it down, but I think she realizes that going into week 4 that her mom is no longer alive. All right. And say a prayer that she's brought home, but we don't think she's alive. Many people feel like she's already not with us. All right. Now, according to Brian Trasher from the United Cajun Navy, one certified search and rescue volunteers is in Tucson assessing the needs for search and rescue of local volunteer groups. Trasher said the volunteer meeting is a Texas search and rescue team that helped find a missing Oklahoma boy. You guys might remember Ryan Davis. All right. According to Trasher, the United Cajun Navy has submitted a capability statement to the FBI and the sheriff in Tucson, but they have not been requested to help in their search. So they're offering help to search. And at this point, I think it's a body recovery. They also said the Guthrie family has also not requested their assistance. According to Trasher, if the search and rescue volunteer does mobilize with local volunteer groups, it would be for search efforts outside of Tucson. Let's see if there's an ad. I won't play it.
I'm Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple.
We got so much to go through. I'm not going to play that. Trasher said if the FBI or sheriff involved in the search asks them to leave, they also will certainly leave. So this comes just 2 days after Pima County Sheriff's Office asked volunteer groups to give them space to conduct their investigation. And hopefully you guys can see it on my screen. Private search parties, Pima County, from their X account. All right. Volunteer search groups have inquired about being in the area. Per the sheriff, they were asked to please give investigators the space they need to do their work. And I'm sure there's more in this, but Pima County's not doing so well. Right. Okay. So if they need it, then if they need the help, they're there for it. All right. They're going to help. So come on in, guys. Hit that like button. You guys, I'm so ready for this. So I owe Tommaso an apology. I'm not going to apologize. Sorry, Tommaso, but you were the last person to see the mother-in-law. Yes, I will apologize once they're cleared, but I'm still seeing people tying Tommaso to these other connections. And these red herrings have gotten out of control. As a matter of fact, experts are saying that the ransom notes are the red herring. You guys know what that means? The ransom notes are the red herring is what they're suggesting. So I want to talk about that as well. Let's do the $1 million reward. Let's talk about that quickly and everything else. There's a lot, so let's get into it. All right.
Posted a heartbreaking video to her IG where she expresses her and her family's pain, the pain of missing their mother, Nancy Guthrie, the pain of not knowing where she is, the pain of not knowing if she's okay, the pain of not knowing if she is still alive. She did say that despite all of the weeks that have gone by, her and her family are still remaining hopeful that Nancy Guthrie is out there somewhere and that she could still be alive.
And guys, in the latest message, we believe that she believes, and law enforcement has given her more information, and that $1 million is going to straight up be for a bounty hunter to go bring home the people, which of course we're going to talk about because we've been saying it was multiple people from the beginning. All right. But now we know, which it would have been nice to know that there was 2 different occasions, but I'm not down with it was just one person on 2 occasions, guys. I'm really, really not. And we're going to get into that right after this, Sadie's mama. What's up, Jenny? Good to see you. We don't want to say that yet, though, because we don't want people hopping off. I'm getting there. I promise. That's one of the first things I'm going to get to. So pay attention, guys. Don't go anywhere.
She says, quote, "We are blowing on the embers of hope," but she also acknowledges that her mother may no longer be alive, that her mom may be dancing with the Lord, with her parents, along with her brother and her late husband. Regardless of whether Nancy is alive or not, the Guthrie family wants answers. They want that sense of closure and peace. So as a family, they are collectively now offering a $1 million reward for information that will lead to Nancy's recovery. Savannah also acknowledged that there are other families, many other families, that are experiencing the same thing that she and her family are experiencing, and they are now donating $500,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, who put their work, their effort, their time into.
Which, guys, as we get through this episode, you're going to realize that this case is much more and it's much bigger than we even imagined. And that's why I can't stop looking at it and giving my perspective on what I think is happening, because I'm seeing it before my eyes. Experts are seeing it, ex-FBI, FBI that are working the case. Can't say much, but the people that can are definitely swayed in the fact that, number one, they messed up very bad in the beginning. Pima did. And then FBI came in, should have taken over. The DNA with the mixed DNA might not ever be able to be used. And that $1 million reward is so much more than just a reward. It's a bounty. And in my opinion, they're 2 people. We're going to get into all of that. It's not a kidnapping. It's a message. You're right. This is what I asked you. What if this was never about a ransom? Then what would it be? That's our topic for today. Remember that. All right. But we still have to get through what else is going on. The $1 million bounty hunter. We call it a reward. I call it a bounty hunter price.
The helping families find their loved ones and cope after they have been found. Take a listen to what she had to say, and I will talk to you guys later.
Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed. Hi there. Hi there. I'm coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken.
Guys, pay attention. We're going to break this down right after. There is a really good video that just came out that was broken down by Deception Detective. And I want you to pay attention closely to what she's saying. Another thing that she's saying, which is we did not know, and this is a game changer, meaning there might be cameras in the house that caught these people or people grabbing Miss Nancy Guthrie out of the bed, because we now know that she was in bed allegedly when the kidnappers took her out of bed and left the house, which tells me that there's even more than two people involved. Someone out there that was probably driving. There are people doing the Bitcoin wallets. There's scammers. Pay attention to what she's saying. This is the second time she's talked about her mom being taken from her bed. Where do they get that from? How does she know that? And this case is way too suspicious. And I just don't think this was ever about a ransom, guys. I don't.
Taken in the dark of night from her bed.
Second time she said that about her being taken from the night out of her bed. There's got to be cameras in the house somewhere as well. Think about that. Google is also still searching other cameras to see what they can recover. And now they're telling us, well, those weren't even on the same days, which is wild that they put them out there and didn't tell us anything other than, hey, take a look at this.
And every hour and minute and second and every long night has been agony since then of worrying about her and fearing for her, and aching for her, and most of all, just missing her, We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying of every.
Abso-freaking-lutely. And it doesn't mean that these people are connected in a way that is, that they're at their Thanksgiving dinner, but it could be a connection in the way of, hey, I cleaned the pool and there's this 84-year-old lady that's by herself all the time. Her daughter's rich AF. We're going to come back and do this thing. And by the way, I can't stand this woman on, I'm not making this up. I'm just saying. I can't stand this Savannah person. I want revenge. I've been watching her. I try to get her attention. She never pays attention. Now you're going to pay attention to me, bitch. Now that we took your mother. I'm telling you, this was not about a ransom ever. It's either about revenge, drugs, or sex. Those are usually the three things. And in this case, we got caught up in the Occam's razor, because I don't think that in this case, the Occam's razor is usually the simplest answer, and that is not this case, right? But you always got to start with the Occam's razor. You always got to. She also donated money to help, and just wait until we get to that too, because what does that have to do with his case?
Faith and no faith at all, praying for her return, and we feel those prayers. Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home.
Jonesy.
Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that she may be lost. She may already be gone. She may have already gone home to the Lord that she loves and is dancing in heaven with her mom.
And I'm sure she believes that. I'm sure law enforcement has told her that. Rody Coffee says, I'm telling you, all signs continuous lead back to Tommaso. And I'm telling you, I'm still looking at Tommaso, and people are still making videos about Tommaso and the connections. And I agree with you. It's a bigger connection, however, and it was never supposed to be about a ransom, whether it was Tommaso or his bandmate, which, by the way, the Carlos gentleman, I don't know if he's a gentleman or not, looks like the freaking sketch artist picture, but then we have two people. So where's the second sketch of the second person or third person? Where was the car? Exactly. You guys, I can't wait to get into this, because once we get into this and we have discussion, your mind's going to be blown just a little bit more than it already is. And that's why I can't stop thinking about this case. That, and I have a 71-year-old mother, and I would crumble if that happened. And I think Savannah's trying to keep it together as much as she can, but she knows that her mom's probably no longer alive.
And her dad, and with her beloved brother Pierce, and with our daddy.
Hit that like button.
And if this is what is to be, then we will accept it. But we need to know where she is. We need her to come home.
Thank you so much.
For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million for any information that leads us to her recovery. All of the information about this reward and the details is in the caption below. You can call the 1-800-TIP line. You can be anonymous if you want. Someone out there knows something that can bring her home. Somebody knows.
And the only reason I'm speeding it up a little, guys, is because we are going to hear this time and time again. We're about to break this down. Pam Griffith, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received the membership, please thank Pam. I know, I'm telling you, but they haven't asked for the Cajun Navy, and the Cajun Navy's ready to go in. Now, Kathy, I got you. And right before I was coming on, I was watching that episode. Let me know if the reason you're sending me the episode is because that's also her take, but I don't want to. I already have a whole show put together today. So if you can kind of tell me what it's about, what is that episode saying? Is it saying the same thing that I'm saying? Or is there other useful information? Because 3 or 4 different networks came out with 3 or 4 different episodes today, and I went with none of them, and I created my own episode. So let me know.
We are begging you to please come forward now. We also know that we are not alone in our loss. We know there are millions of families that have suffered with this kind of uncertainty. And for that reason today, we also are donating $500.
Got you. I got the timestamp. Thank you, Kathy. As soon as we get through the introduction of everything that happened, I'll take a look at that.
$100,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for their work in helping families who are coping with loss and actively looking for those who are lost.
Now, this is making a huge statement here. I want you to know that. And NCMEC is who we always love to donate to. All right. But this is not. No, I got you. I got the timestamp. So thank you. You're smarter. You're smarter every day about this. Thank you. All right. Let's continue because we got a lot today.
We are hoping that the attention that has been given to our mom and our family will extend to all the families like ours who are in need and need prayers and need support. So please, if you hear this message, if you've been waiting and you haven't been sure, let this be your sign to please come forward, tell what you know, and help us bring our beloved mom home so that we can either celebrate a glorious, miraculous homecoming or celebrate the beautiful brave and courageous and noble life that she has lived.
They want her body back, guys. And in my opinion, this is a bounty hunter. If I were a bounty hunter, if I were Dog the Bounty Hunter, I'd be out there right now, because that's what this is for, in my opinion. This has never been about a ransom or a kidnapping, in my opinion.
Please be the light in the dark. Thank you.
All right, so let's hop just directly into the next thing, and then I will talk about the two men that I believe, and a lot of analysts and people believe, before we get anybody else. I don't want people to hop off this. So this just came out minutes ago. Deception Detective, I tagged you in the video. Thank you. It came out minutes ago, and he says, this update is odd. Now, we're not going to watch the whole thing again, but Deception Detective is going to break down what her words are actually saying to us based on his knowledge and experience. Remember, he is a Deception Detective, is a attorney trained in statement analysis. All right. And I believe she's met her maker as well. I hope she's no longer suffering. No political reference on, yeah, we don't go into politics. I'm not sure what, we try to stay away from that, but I mean, sometimes it has to come in, right? I'm sitting there with an American flag behind me, as long as we're not upsetting people. Okay, so let's take a look. This just came out minutes ago, and I incorporated it into this episode because, well, we love Deception Detective, and we've got great minds think alike.
Coming on to say it is day 24 since our mom was taken in the dark of night from her bed. And every hour and minute.
Again, you guys know who Deception Detective is. He is an attorney trained specifically in statement analysis, and she's making a clear statement that many of us wouldn't even have caught. Yeah, focus on the pure facts. Agreed. Let's go.
And second, and every long night has been agony since then, of worrying about her, and fearing for her.
That's a brand new Instagram post from Savannah Guthrie about her missing mother, Nancy Guthrie. But something about it does not add up. So in today's video, let's break it down. I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. So if that's your thing, hit subscribe. For early access to new videos, over 60.
Yeah, go subscribe to the good-looking attorney. We love you, DD. We always have.
If anything, all the problems with this update, as well as some of the other recent updates we'll cover in this video, only reinforce my theory. So let's get straight into it, and you'll see what I mean. If you're a new viewer or just haven't seen my other videos in the series, don't worry, I'll explain everything in a moment. For now, just listen to this.
We know that millions of you have been praying. So many people have been praying of every faith and no faith at all, praying for her return, and we feel those prayers. Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home.
And I do believe that Savannah has a strong faith in Jesus and God, whatever religion she is. I believe that she absolutely has a strong bond with Jesus, God, whoever our maker is. And I've been getting a lot more spiritual as well. And you notice a lot more things when you're in the realm of being in a better place. Now, she's got a little smile because, again, her mom was 84. She knew she was already sick. We saw her mom's arm all bruised. She could have died from falling. They could have went in to kidnap her, and she stood up and fell down, and that's why there was blood. And then they're like, man, we can't leave the body here. We got all this evidence. And by the way, she's got money. Why not get a ransom out of it? But what I'm saying is, you guys, if you're not into faith of any kind, you should start looking more into being, just having faith in a higher power, because that's the only way that I think that this lady is doing it. All right, let's continue.
Hope against hope. As my sister says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. We also know that
Yeah,
she may be lost.
As Savannah's sister Annie says, we are blowing on the embers of hope. But where is Annie, by the way? And why did she get mentioned in the first minute of this statement?
I think that they're trying to make sure that they let us know that they're not involved and she doesn't believe her sister's involved, because that $1 million up to is going to be coming from Savannah Guthrie. I just heard today that Annie and Tommaso didn't even make enough when they sold their previous house. I think they sold their house for 300 and something thousand, and then they went and bought a $650,000 house along with the money that they really don't make as a teacher and a poet. So keep that in mind as well, without just plainly saying it's them. Right, just keep all these things in mind.
When Savannah's other sibling, her brother, didn't get mentioned or quoted at all. Well, here's what I think. I think Savannah and the FBI hostage negotiators who helped her prepare this statement are sensitive about Annie. Specifically, I think they're sensitive about the public's perception of her and her perception of the investigation. And if you know my theory of this case, that should make sense. And if you don't worry, I'll break it all down in a moment, because there's just a little bit more evidence I want to show you that Savannah and the people who helped her with the statement are sensitive about Annie. Listen to what Savannah says in this next segment about the $1 million reward they're offering for information about Nancy's whereabouts.
She may have already gone home to the Lord that she loves and is dancing in heaven with her mom and her dad and with her beloved brother Pierce and with our daddy. If this is what is to be, then we will accept it. But we need to know where she is. We need her to come home. For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million.
Again, right then and there, again, when she says we're offering a family reward, she's letting you know and me know and the public know that I don't believe that they're involved in any of this, and we've all come together, lay off of them. All right? Like literally. You like Deception Detective? So do I.
For any information that leads us to her recovery. All of the information about this reward and the details is in the caption below. You can call the 1-800 tip line. You can be anonymous if you want. Someone out there knows something that can bring her home.
No.
Somebody knows. And we are begging you to please come forward now.
This isn't just $1 million reward, it's a family reward. Why did they feel the need to say that? And by they, I mean Savannah and the FBI negotiators who are helping her with this script. Well,
yeah, guys, they're not just coming out here half-cocked and going on her Instagram and saying whatever they want. They're being strategic. Now, she probably was looking at something on the other side versus the last couple of times she filmed, and she probably felt the criticism of people saying, why are they reading the note? Shouldn't they know what it is? All right. We've played it a few times if you like to hear it.
There's two possible reasons. One, they know for a fact somehow that no one in the family is at all involved in Nancy's disappearance, not even as a collaborator. So they're trying to manage the public's perception of them because they know that the public, including myself, are suspicious of the family and everyone close to the family. And just to round out my theory, in case you're not familiar with it, I think this was an inside job by a family member or someone close to the family, excluding Savannah Guthrie. I'll link my entire playlist below if you want to see my rationale. The other possibility, though, is that the FBI is suspicious of the family and they don't want to put them on edge. So they're making a point of calling this a family reward and involving them in the statement, even though they're really only working with Savannah. And there's actually some evidence that one of these theories is correct over the other one based on another update in this case. But first, let's watch and break down the most bizarre part of this entire update. Listen to this.
We also know that we are not alone in our loss. We know there are millions of families that have suffered with this kind of uncertainty. And for that reason today, we also are donating $500,000 to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for their work in helping families who are coping with loss and actively looking for those who are lost. We are hoping that the attention that has been given to our mom and our family will extend to all the families like ours who are in need and need prayers and need support. So please, if you hear this message, If you've been waiting and you haven't been sure, let this be your sign. So please come forward, tell what you know, and help us bring our beloved mom home so that we can either celebrate a glorious, miraculous homecoming or celebrate the beautiful, brave, and courageous and noble life that she has lived. Please be the light in the dark.
Just like the family reward, this family donation suggests to me that this statement isn't just a plea to any potential abductors, it's also a PR exercise. Which begs the question, again, why are Savannah and the FBI so sensitive about what the public thinks of Savannah's family? I can't say for sure, but I think it's because they know someone in the family or close to it is involved, and they don't want to tip them off. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that, but it would explain another bizarre update that came out right before this statement from Savannah. According to the New York Post, the DNA found in Nancy's house can't be analyzed for a year now because the sheriff sent it to Florida instead of simply turning it over to the FBI.
And that's what I was telling you in the beginning is very, very, very concerning. It's not just because the DNA was mixed, it's because they effed up. Now, it's a total F up on many sides, but Pima County has taken, he's taken responsibility and said, I messed up, but he continues to say things that people are outraged about, frankly. And Patricia, they didn't put out that money. That was not Savannah that put up the $2,500. It was actually just a reward that they put out kind of as a good faith thing. Law enforcement did that, but they're strategically, in my opinion, saying up to $1 million because of not only because of the fake kidnapping, the fake ransoms that they keep getting, but to up the ante and have people that know people. Like if you know that guy and you're a cousin, screw your cousin. You're going to go turn him in and get $1 million. That's what they're thinking, in my opinion. All right, let's continue. Who's having a problem with something right now? Stop what? I'm saying stop, please. Stop what? What are you talking about, faithful servant? Who's doing something to you?
In other words, that simple decision might have cost the Guthrie family any chance they had at finding Nancy alive. There's a giant difference between identifying an abductor within 1 month and identifying them a year later. But I haven't seen a peep from any of them. No outrage, no lawsuits for incompetence, nothing. So what's going on here? Well, I think the FBI is working with Savannah, and I'm sure they're noting just how bizarre the rest of the family's reactions are. Their reticence to make any appeals to any kidnappers the way Savannah is doing. Their reticence to make any complaints about how the police are fumbling the investigation, or any statements or appearances at all. Check the end screen if you want to see the rest of my videos analyzing this case, and make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss my next installment. Until next time, stay true.
Thank you. We love you, DD. Hopefully you stop by. Everybody else, you guys know what to do. You know the drill. All right, so let's get back. Let's get into the two-man, the DNA analysis, etc. Right? Okay, so we know suspect in Nancy Guthrie abduction appeared to visit her house before. A suspect was captured on video via Nest. Now you guys know that they think these two people are they're either two people or they came back on a separate night. We now know they're two different separate videos. All right. So the image that the FBI released of the suspect at the front door without a backpack was captured by Nest doorbell camera on a day before the suspected abduction. Sources say, we don't know, there's no timestamps. Now, the FBI said that the images of the suspect, and I would say or suspect, with the backpack are on from the morning of her disappearance on Sunday, February 1st, where Guthrie failed to show up to watch her virtual church service. Now, one theory, according to sources, is that the suspect approached the door the first time, noticed the camera, and was scared off, only to return later when he's seen there tampering with the device and putting branches in front of the lens. Now, FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department declined to comment, of course. The gap could help explain why investigators have asked neighbors to check their home security for suspicious people and vehicles going back to January 1st, a month before the abduction. The images that are most important pieces of evidence into today show Savannah Guthrie's mother's disappearance, which has captured the attention of the nation in the last month. So far, no suspect has been identified by or named, I'll say, by officials in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Jason Pack, a former FBI agent, told ABC that if this is the same person, it could indicate that that person was surveilling the place before the abduction happened. The fact that there was a preparation and planning, which makes it more of a sophisticated type of criminal activity rather than someone just showing up and, fumbling around and not knowing what's going on. All right. So I want to, let's see if we can do this without ads. I think most people think there's two people, two different people, not just one. So I want to hear what they have to say.
Well, now to a breaking news update on the search for Nancy Guthrie. Investigators say that the masked man suspected of taking Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother appeared to be at her door earlier than February 1st. The FBI released this image earlier this month of the suspect at the front door without a backpack. Sources familiar with the investigation now say the image was captured by her Nest doorbell on a day before the suspected abduction. One theory is the masked man got scared after noticing the camera the first time, only to return later where he is seen tampering with the device. Both the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Office have declined to comment.
All right, so this is the picture that we've been seeing. We've been seeing actually multiple pictures. And in my opinion, they don't even have the same stature, the same height, the same weight, the same features. Maybe they have a little bit darker features. One of them has a little lighter, but I do not think that is one person that came back. I absolutely believe, in my opinion, that it's two. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to bring up what the experts are saying about it. So we're going to pull this up. Guthrie photos, suspects may not be the same person. And I agree. I think everybody that's been on my channel watching this and following the case mostly agrees that we have separate and multiple people possibly. All right. Someone will come forward before the end of the week. I hope so. I agree. Premeditated and new Nest cam was there, but didn't, in my opinion, studying it, right? Good to see you, Jinx. How you doing? If you just came in, thank you. Indy, thank you. I don't know if I thanked you earlier, but much love to you. I'm going to gift some memberships in a bit. I'm going to give 5 memberships if anyone wants to match me in a little while, as soon as I get a break from switching videos. All right, let's go. Thank you, Indy. Big hugs to you. All right, so let's see what they think. This is what I think.
Stunning update in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. A source tells Fox News that these 2 images captured on the doorbell camera, look closely at both of these. Do they look like the same person? Might have been from separate dates. Here to react, the Wounded Blue founder and retired police lieutenant, Randy Sutton. Good morning to you, Randy.
Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. So what do you think about those images? 2 different days? Are they the same person?
I don't think so.
I don't believe they are the same person, and I'll tell you why.
All right, so I just stopped there for a second, guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button, get yourself a membership. Remember, we're doing giveaways. I've got a stack of books. I'd like to do a giveaway if we can get to the goal. We have 260 people in here, and we're going to be here for a while, so hit that like button. I'm going to give 5 memberships in a bit. And I'm so glad that this guy and 5-10 other people are saying they don't think this is the same person that came back. They think it's multiple people.
If you look at, I've seen other photographs, and in fact, a military expert on infrared shared with me some information concerning a carbon footprint of his footwear, and which demonstrates that they are different shoes. So either he changed his shoes or this is a separate person. I think it's something that needs to be examined. I'm sure the FBI has all the resources to do that if they haven't done it already. But if in fact this was a second a visit to this residence, it would be chilling, but it would also not explain what happened with the Ring doorbell. If he did a recon on the home, he would have seen the Ring doorbell and come equipped.
There you go. Ding, 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 guys. If he'd have came back the day before or on February 11th, like they say, why in the hell would he walk up there like he was going to knock and then say, oh, shoot. And this is just me narrating what he's saying in his head. Shit. Oh, no. Okay, I'm going to go grab the shrubbery. He would already know that it was there. And like I said, the height, the weight, the way they walk, one's lanky, one's bulky. Those are not the same people. And I don't know if FBI is just not telling us because they don't want to let the cat out of the bag and let these people know that they know how many people, but it's not good.
Deal with it rather than deal with a plant situation.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's a little incongruous.
Okay, well, that makes sense that it could be 2 separate days or 2 different people, because the equipment he's wearing in one shot is different than the equipment he's wearing. Like, he has the holster in one shot and he has the backpack in one shot. The other shot, they look like the same build. They look like they're the same height. But I understand your expert friend looked at the infrared and said the footprint might be different, and you've shared that information with the FBI. But right after this video was released, do you remember we had all those experts on that know a lot about Ring cameras? And they said that whatever video was released, that was the last snapshot of what was.
Now, also remember, guys, there's a lot of things they're not telling us. But remember, the people or person or persons that were in the house were there for around 41 minutes. And FBI or Pima County did not tell us that there was an area that was broken into, which a source told Ashley Banfield that the back door was left wide open, but there was also a point of entry where it looked like somebody pried their way or broke their way in. Now, we're not seeing those things in reports because it's a source, but that would mean a whole different thing in this case. And I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole right now, because there's similar cases in this Arizona area that could be the same type of thing that's been happening, but I just don't want to throw a curveball that hard.
Found what was seen at her front door. So if it's 2 different days, why would we have both shots?
No, that's really the $64,000 question.
Yeah.
And why is it being released now? If the the FBI was the one who developed the information to begin with. You'll remember that the sheriff stated in an early press conference that there was no captured video from that Ring camera, from that Nest camera, and then that turned out to be information that was.
And remember, this is also messing our timeline up. Okay, so as we're covering this case and everybody else that's covering this case, now we're confused about the timeline even more. And we'll go over that after this. All right. So today we're talking about what if this was never about a ransom? DNA is a possible failure, $1 million reward, and what that actually was for, and the new search efforts for Nancy Guthrie. All right. And the obvious, are those people the same people that came on a different day, the same person that came on a different day, or are they multiple people?
Was wrong. But the FBI is the one who developed this information. So they're the ones that have this info, and they're keeping it very close to the vest. And quite honestly, I think it's time for them to come forward. We haven't seen anything from the FBI at all, and they are really very, very involved in this investigation. I would like to see some commentary from the SAC.
Yeah, I wish we would see another press conference. Thank you so much, Lieutenant, for coming on with us. We do want to read this statement before we sign off here from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. There is no date or timestamp associated with these images. Therefore,
and again, the people are asking, why are they not coming out and saying anything? Well, they have, and what have they told us? Anybody? Nothing. We've got nothing burgers. This sheriff is going around doing these private interviews, not giving a press conference, but he's also not answering any of our questions. He completely just dances around everything and anything that you ask him. And I'll just read the statement for you. He's saying there's no date. Now, remember, this is the sheriff that botched from the beginning, went to a basketball game and tried to blame a death on why he wasn't, why it was messed up. There's no date or stamp associated with any of these images. Therefore, any suggestion that the photographs were taken on different days is purely speculative. I want you to see that. This is coming from Pima County now telling us that these aren't even coming on separate days, and we're speculating that. So what he's telling us is nothing. He's not telling us there might be a second or third person. This was from a different day, so it could, maybe the people came back to check. He literally just told us everything we've been talking about today is just speculation. Well, that's why he's not talking, because he's not telling us anything. Sunshine Lady says, Jay, love your humor. You make me laugh. Well, thank you so much for that super sticker, my friend. All right, let's continue. Yes. Where'd you go, Queen of Moods? One person was hunched over, easy to do. But the stature of the person being hunched over versus the other, we're going to continue going on there. Yeah, one has a small collar. We looked at them side by side. Sheriff should have turned this, I agree, over to the FBI when they knew it wasn't a missing persons case. I agree. But they're still not letting us know much of anything, folks. All right, so let's pull this down. And I want you guys to see, we talked about red herrings in the very beginning. What red herrings are Pima County and FBI throwing at us? And in my opinion, when I ask you the question, is this case even about a ransom? I don't think so. I've said that from the beginning. I don't think this was supposed to be a kidnapping. It wasn't a robbery gone wrong. And the ransom note was an afterthought, which is not possible to have an afterthought when you're doing an organized kidnapping. So were the ransom notes just red herrings? Let's talk about that.
Special agent and principal training advisor with the USCCA. Rob, welcome back. Good morning. Always good to see you.
Good morning, Anna.
You heard the latest report. What's your reaction to the police now suggesting that there might have been multiple accomplices?
Well, it's not a surprising, announcement. I mean, certainly we know that she was taken from that home. We know that she was injured when she left that home. And so, it wouldn't surprise me at all if there was someone else involved in this. What's clear and what has been clear to many of us from the beginning was this was never, I don't believe ever, a true kidnapping for ransom case. And it also almost certainly wasn't a, nighttime burglary gone wrong. Like that just doesn't happen statistically, not, residential burglary.
So let's just think about that for a moment altogether. If it was neither one of those things, and this is a rhetorical question we'll try to answer by the end of the episode. If it wasn't for a ransom, if it wasn't a kidnapping, and it wasn't for a robbery, then what do you have left? What is the motive in this case for what's happening, right? I'm about to give some membership. I'm going to give 5 memberships. So do me a favor, guys. Make sure your gifting membership is on. All right. Let's continue. Are they actually the red herrings? These ransom notes?
Burglaries happen during the day when residents are typically at work. Business burglaries happen at night. So this person who showed up at that house, I believe, was there, to do something. We don't know what. They were inside that house for far too long for it to have been a planned kidnapping. And then, of course, we've had absolutely no sign of life, no proof of life, I should say. And the ransom demands that have been submitted through the media sources, I've always believed are at best a red herring and more likely just outsiders inserting themselves, opportunists, so to speak, trying to collect on this, high profile story.
Rob,
and guys, the whole time I've been trying to figure out what these red herrings are in the case. There's a lot of them sprinkled throughout. I mean, one of them could absolutely be the fact that they're coming to us now and saying, well, this was a different day. And then Pima County tells us, no, that's not confirmed. That's just speculation, right? They're just throwing stuff out there. But I thought I just gifted 5 memberships. I did. Danielle, welcome to the crime crew. Queen of Moods, welcome. Danny C, Patricia LG, and Logan Lafferty, welcome to Crime Crew Official. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let's continue.
At the very beginning, you've said this case is atypical. It's unusual. Why do you say that from your perspective?
Well, a true kidnapping for ransom case, okay,
yes,
is something where you're going to almost almost immediately have a call to either the family or the local authorities to say, listen, we have this person. Here is proof. Here is definitive proof that we have that person and we are willing to negotiate. We didn't get that until a couple of days later. And that supposed submission was done through a tabloid media outlet, I believe, to get more attention. That's not the mark of someone who
TMZ. Now remember, TMZ is incorporated into a lot of cases now because we're covering people that are of higher, like Hollywood status and people that have money, the richer side of things. That's who TMZ caters to. So it's very interesting that those people went to TMZ with these ransom notes or red herrings to distract from what? And I'm glad they're kind of putting a little bit of a timeline there, but I'm going to show you how it's botched after. January 31st, 9:48 p.m., he drops her off, and 2 minutes later, the garage door closes. Well, man, Nancy was hustling fast, right? Then February 1st at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell connects and disconnects. So that's when they're saying this one came in. They're trying to say that. Potential suspect. All right, let's continue.
Is truly interested in collecting a ransom for a true kidnapping. A lot of this just has not made any sense from a kidnapping investigation. And so, I saw that you have a Saturday night special tonight to go over 3 weeks of leads of interviews, and I think that's exactly what law enforcement is going to do is go back to the beginning, take a look at all the things that we know, not speculation, but
I mean, come on, even just the way this guy walks in, and we don't want too much speculation. We want to hear the facts. Just the stature of this first guy tells me that there's more than one person, in my opinion.
The things that we know with maybe a fresh set of eyes to say, okay, what is it that we can track down? I still believe that the clothing items that we see there are, those are tremendous leads. That holster, the combination of that holster with that pistol. That's why we had that story earlier in the week where, agents were going out and questioning people at gun stores to see. That's a very unusual combination, and I believe a tremendous lead.
Rob, it's been, and you and I are talking about this, it's been 21 days, hundreds of officers and agents.
I got to stop on that for a second because they have been focusing on the description of a single suspect. But I see two people. They have different shoes. People are agreeing. The backpack doesn't quite look the same, so I'm not really sure exactly why they say that. When you look there, it doesn't even have close to the same straps during the night or the day. 5'9" to 5'10", a $10 holster available at Walmart. Also, listen, guys, I'm hearing from behind the scenes. Thank you so much, Cool and Chris and Jinx. Thank you. That might not have been a actual gun at all. And this person used a holster and 3D printed, or either 3D printed the gun themselves, or they had it 3D printed where it's not even a real one. It's just in the shape of one with the holster to scare somebody to do what they want. Welcome, Smoking. You guys go subscribe to his channel. Thank you for gifting that membership. I appreciate you. So keep that in mind. We've got one person at this point, and a lot of stuff still just doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't a criminal case out of place in the daytime? Well, they don't want to be seen, but again, it's got to be somebody that knows that house and the area, but it's more than one person, in my opinion.
Agents are working around the clock. 40,000 tips have come in. When does the police and the FBI start to divert resources away from this case?
Well, this case is obviously atypical, and it has captured the attention not only of the United States, but the world. And so law enforcement is desperate to reassure the public. Hey, listen, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We want to make sure that people that are watching this that could see themselves in this situation are reassured. Hey, we're going to solve this case. So the pressure's there. They're not going to divert a ton of resources, but certainly they're going to shift the investigation. I doubt that there are, SWAT teams standing by at the ready like there were just a few weeks ago. There certainly is a local SWAT team there and potentially a regional SWAT team. But, we had multiple SWAT teams staged throughout the area in case there was a discovery of a stash house, so to speak.
Now, guys, you got to remember too that law enforcement, it means everything what everyone does means something. And there were several searches around Annie and Tommaso's home, as well as even people that were arrested or detained within just not even miles, just feet within that house. What does that tell you? All right. And I still do think Tommaso absolutely owed somebody money. That's a possibility too, but they didn't do this as a kidnapping.
I doubt that very seriously is the case anymore. Certainly, they are ready to go at a moment's notice locally. But yeah, this is going to be one of those cases, and I know it's frustrating for the general public, but these things do take time. It's a very unusual, atypical case, but they're certainly not going to give up.
Rob Chadwick, thank you so much. You're a wealth of knowledge when it comes to this case. I've been watching your reporting on it all week. Thank you again for coming on.
All right, there's huge discussions all over the place right now. Let me just tell you quickly about the timeline, and then I'll go to your timestamp, because there's lots of conversations going on from lots of experts, and people are just not believing what we're hearing, and we doubt the sheriff in Pima County, and law enforcement's not talking to it. FBI is not telling us what they're doing, right? So let's see what the
about the Nancy Guthrie case, because we are now in day 24 of the search for her. And a source with knowledge of this investigation now says that images from that Nest camera that were released were actually taken on separate dates. And the Pima County Sheriff's Office responded. They did not confirm nor deny this report. This is their exact quote. They say there is no date or timestamp associated with these images. Therefore, any suggestion that the photographs were taken on different days is purely speculative. So pushing back on that reporting.
Which again, we just saw that on another channel, but does that change the entire timeline now? And why are we having purely speculation videos and news being reported on? Why are they reporting on this? I mean, I guess the same reason we're reporting on it, because we want to know what's happening, but why is it being put out there? FBI tracking everything, people. FBI never lets anything to go outside of the public. All right. They're not going to tell us anything.
What does this mean, and how should we process this information about the possibility that these images that we've seen are not on one day, but two separate occasions?
Well, Carly, since day one, I've been saying that the way that they were able to recover these images is through these data points. It's not like camera rolling like we would be used to in terms of a recording. These are images that they've put together based on this data that they received from the camera. And I've said since day one, there's no timestamp on these. So how are we sure that these were on that date if they're just putting together these data points? So it does appear in these videos that this person does have backpack in one photo, no backpack in another. Does that mean it was removed? Does that mean it was put on? Does that mean these are different days? The answer is we don't know. And the fact that the sheriff's office continues.
And guys, look at the stature of these people. Just by the way, this guy looks bulked up and bigger and huskier and shorter, and the way this guy walks and lanky, and we've even put their faces in comparison to each other, and they just don't look the same. The probable gun flops around dangerously. I don't know if it's a real weapon. If it were a real weapon, it's very unsecured. It would plop right out of that, because when you have a holster, it fits the gun that you're using it for. They make it particularly for that model, or it would come out and it's pointing straight at his junk. All right. So I don't even think that is a real weapon at this point. We'll find out, though. We definitely will. I've heard speculation that it's a possible 3D printed gun, and that's just from behind the scenes sources saying what they're analyzing and looking at here.
To put out these contradictory statements where we get one minute it's two things, 1 minute we don't know, 1 minute we can't speculate. All this continues to do is question the integrity of this investigation, and they continue to do it, and I'm not sure why.
And really quickly, because we are running out of time, but if this does show 2 different days, that would be casing her house at a level of premeditation. When it comes to the legal aspect of that, does that elevate the charges involved here?
What difference
I don't
is
know if
that?
it elevates the charges. It will depend on what the charges are, but there's definitely, if it.
She might as well have just said, what difference does it make? She's like, I don't know about, what are we worried about elevated charges right now? Let's get Nancy Guthrie home. She's probably no longer with us, guys. I don't think this was ever about a ransom, and we're going to continue discussing that as well. And you guys already know, where I stand. I still don't like the son-in-law last to see her. Same night this all happens. Agreed. I'm still not sold on that, but I also don't want to put accusations on him because there's a reason why law enforcement has pushed us to not look at them, in my opinion. All right. Hey, Lucky, good to see you. Glad you're here. Hit that like button, guys. All right, let's continue. We got a lot today.
It is different days. You're right. It is premeditation. There is a situation where they must have been, watching her, which would make sense because they happen to know what time she got home that day. So we'll see what happens here. We're just continuing to hope she is returned one way or another.
Continuing to hope and continuing to question. Donna, thank you.
All right, so let's hop into this real quick. I want to see what relevance it has based on what we're saying. I had my show already ready to go, and as I was doing it, Miss Nancy was coming out, and I got a timestamp here of them talking about the two men at the door, possibly, or one. So let's listen up here for a bit. I got so much more, guys. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and be nice to each other in chat. If the trolls roll in, say poof, they're gone. All right, let's see what he has to say. Now, Chris McDonough always has a lot to say, but I'm interested in particularly in listening to him with Nancy Grace, because Nancy Grace isn't going to let him just lollygag and talk for hours. 90% of the time, it's the last person. And that, Deb, is what I was talking about earlier. That's Occam's razor. Now, when you say 90% of the time, the last person that saw them, you believe that from the beginning, that is Occam's razor. Occam's razor is the most obvious thing that it is. So like if you're with your husband and you just went on your honeymoon and you're only two there and he comes back and she's dead, Occam's razor says the easiest thing to do is look at the spouse first. You're not going to start questioning the people in the lobby and the person that checked in. Occam's razor is the most simplest thing that people tend to overlook. I'm not so sure, but possibly I was very sure about it, and now I'm not. What's up, Justice Jane? Good to see you, my friend. And yeah, how was the garage door open? Did he have a garage door clicker on his car to let her in? Which I'm assuming. Thank you, Mary. I agree. We've talked about that before. All right.
The video, when he's walking up to the property, you can clearly see there's a backlit illumination of some sort. And so,
control room, please play the video as McDonough is speaking. Okay, go ahead, Chris. Thank you.
Yes.
That's right. And so you can clearly see that there's some type of light source behind him. And that night, as he's approaching the porch, you can see a shadow on the ground. So I looked that up, and it was there right there. You can see the shadow. That means it was a full moon that evening.
Ooh.
Okay. And I looked it up, and in fact, it was. And so if we look at the second photograph of the gentleman standing, at the archway there, we don't see that behind him backlit like that. We don't see a shadow being cast onto the sidewalk as he's standing there right there. And you see it's also much darker behind him. So that would lead me towards, from an investigative analysis aspect of this is possible. It could be two separate nights. Now, like Scott has said, we don't know that for sure. However, from an investigative analysis aspect, investigators are looking at this and going, okay, why is it so dark behind him here? And then that other video, why is it not so dark at that point? Because it appears it could have been two separate nights.
And that's so smart. That's the best way to go about this, and it's not something that I think about because we don't analyze things like this all the time. So what he's saying makes 100% sense. Also, here's the thing, Beach. There could have been a keypad, but how would they get the keypad? I mean, I guess there could be a keypad on the outside, but 2 minutes just isn't long enough. It seems to drop off a lady that's 84 years old that can't walk that far, punch in a code, and get all the way through with it closed in 2 minutes. I gotta think that Annie and Tommaso are the major caretakers of the mother. When she needs something, it seems like they move closer to her. You know, they're only 10 minutes away. So thank you, Mary Ann. I appreciate you, especially when I get new people that are not trolls. Thank you. Did you time that person out? Oh, my mom, he pissed my mom off. There you go. Mama Pearl, Mom, you have a wrench. So when they piss you off, you're allowed to time them out. Thank you. All right. Don't piss my mom off, all right? Yeah, it does. It makes it even more strange, right? All right, let's continue. And thank you, Kathy, for this. I knew this was playing, but it was playing when I started the show. Savannah Guthrie's mom missing, day 24. Nancy Grace is doing great with this coverage. And again, she knows the family, I believe.
Disturbing
Okay,
piece.
hold on. Let me throw a possibility into your scenario.
Absolutely.
We know that a floodlight was disabled. When he approaches, and it's very well lit in the background, as you were pointing out, Chris, if the floodlight was taken out, let's just say he goes, okay, I'm going to get rid of the floodlight. What if, could that possibly explain the lack of light in the other photo as opposed to the waxing waning moon? I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility.
It's always a possibility, Nancy, but you see the infrared is responding to the light in this particular video here. And you see he's even turning on his light. So he's having a hard time, seeing exactly, what's in front of him at this moment. So, but I think.
Hey guys, I'll explain the DNA just after this. Mab, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I will get to it. It's just StreamYard has a little bit of an issue connecting back and forth. So I can see it on one side and it just hasn't got to StreamYard. But thank you, buddy. I got you. All right. You guys, we got some trolls in here tonight. Just time them out, Mom. Don't get mad and nobody get mad. Just time them out if people come in here. That's what happens when you get new people that who knows who they are. All right. So we're going to talk about the DNA. I'm going to explain everything to you about the DNA after this. All right. Luke and Zach are my suspects. I'm with you. I believe they're connected as well.
If these are 2 separate times, hypothetically, at this point, the most disturbing part of this, if they are separated, is he came the second time armed and prepared to use deadly force. That is an uptick in his behavioral pattern.
We are carefully reviewing the evidence over and over and over. I want to follow up. Dave Mack, we have heard from Nanos and others, possibly Patel. What are they saying about the theory that the porch guy was there on a previous occasion skulking?
Well, they're saying that everything is speculation, Nancy, that with no timestamp, with no proof of anything, everything is purely speculation. So we're left with that. So no conclusion.
And I wonder if they're only doing that to throw the people off, right? Ever watched Doubtfire where you see 4 fingers? Look at the problem, not the solution. Okay. Well, Mab, okay, we'll take care of that. Kathy, I'll get you Mabs. Trolls aren't welcome. Thanks, Mama. Yeah, we're going to get into the DNA because I really need you to understand that the mixed DNA and what Pima County Sheriff, the decision that he made to send it to where he was going to send it to and not tell FBI allegedly could be the demise of all of the DNA. It could not be usable at all, guys. We still got that to discuss. And what if it was never about a ransom? And of course, if we're going to talk about what if it never was a ransom, then what is it? All right. That changes our motive. All right. It changes our motive a bit, not 100%.
Being drawn from investigators at this time. But you can clearly see, as Chris McDonough just pointed out, there's a lot to go through on these videos and on the clip.
Hi, guys. Nancy Grace here. Between the grocery store and insurance premium. Zero. Okay, cover me up right there. Okay, because I was looking off to the side, please. Okay, I'm gonna listen to it one more time. Guys, I don't want to miss a single word. Let's hear that one more time.
10-4, it's going to be at Oracle and River. The caller is advising they saw a female out of a vehicle window screaming. Then it went northbound on Oracle.
This is a different case. What happened here?
It came from February 1st, but at 2:01, between 2 a.m.
Wait, what? Hold on.
X from our viewers sending in ideas, theories, photos.
Okay, good. We're doing that. Also, Mab, I posted, I'm going to show people real quick. Mab, I'm with you on that. You sent me an email with the suspects. Check it. I've been on that page too. And Mab, thank you so much for the 5 guilty of crime memberships. Would you guys please drop Mab's link in chat so people can go subscribe to him and troll him instead of me? Ask all the dumb questions to Mab and get out of my chat. All right, Mabster, we'll drop your link. I think if you could drop the link, that'd be awesome. Let me show you what Mab just sent me, and hopefully it works. StreamYard has been incredibly picky lately. All right, and I agree. I have to say I agree. Luke and Zach. Now, do you want to explain who those are? Because I have to look at that though, guys. Do me a favor. And I have been absolutely believing that the people that they have arrested, they detained and let go are still in their crosshairs. And law enforcement is only telling us things for speculation because they don't want these people and others involved to know. All right. So take a look at that. What do you guys think? Are you in chat? Can you see how closely it's a possibility that they match up? Do you see that? And do you even know that? Yeah, that's them, you're saying, Joanne. That's them. The 3 different backpacks didn't jive. Now it's 2. Now it's 2 visits by different men. That's what we're saying. Like, what? This is what law enforcement is giving us, you guys. And they're not giving us this. So I just want you to see. And thank you, Mab, for putting it together in that way, because I agree. When I saw Luke and I saw Zach separately, I was like, those guys all look like the guy with the mustache, but the eyes and the features match so well. All right. So thank you. Luke is a bingo. What does that mean? Jay pics of the perp side by side to Zach and the Mab. Please check pics of perp side by side. Okay, did you send me an email or what? Okay, anyway, I'm gonna drop that down. Jay, you should let Mab call in and explain what he's leaning towards. Well, I want to continue with the episode. We can absolutely do a double show tomorrow. But I mean, this is what I'm leaning towards too. I'm leaning towards the fact that there's multiple people, and I believe the people that they've detained and released are absolutely part of this case. All right. And Mab, if you want to just put it in chat, I'm still running the episode. So we haven't even talked about the new search efforts and what if it's not a ransom. So anyway, I'm going to drop that. Thank you, Mab. If there's anything you want to add to that, you can let me know or email. But yeah, I do think I think you're absolutely right. And I it's weird that, I just showed my email on accident. Good thing there's nothing crazy in there. All right, let's continue.
What do you know about this, Dave Mack?
Well, Nancy, this dispatch recording came from February 1st, but at 2:01, between 2 a.m., 2:01 a.m. and 2:04 a.m. This is at the exact same time we believe the kidnapper or kidnappers were in the home with Nancy Guthrie. Again, 2:01 to 2:04. And by the way, this is about 3 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. So we've got a car with no plates. Now, who drives a car with no plates, right? You've got a woman screaming out the window. And beyond that, the door actually is open as well, like she's trying to jump out. She's wearing all black. We know this is taking place at the exact same time of the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping, 2:01 to 2:04 a.m., February 1st. That's what we know, 3 miles from her house.
Is it connected? We don't know, but it's close to her home around the time she was taken. We can't really discount anything. Would you agree with that, Chris McDonough?
Yeah, absolutely, Nancy. I mean, you have to check the box and interview those that 911 caller.
And not only that, guys, they're hiding stuff from us. They have to. That's their job. If they let all of the information out, then we're going to have these people running off to Mexico, leaving the country and doing some drastic things. We got to remember a couple things, but the number one thing is that when the FBI stepped in, that's when they started doing federal search warrants. And a federal search warrant, not just a federal search warrant, but an emergency federal search warrant where they can go in because they had something so important that they thought they needed to extract from their houses. But they didn't arrest them or name them as a person of interest. They detained them. They gathered the stuff from their home and they released them. So keep that in mind. All right. And when we talk about Zach and Luke and all these people, we're talking about band members, I believe. Is that correct, Mab? Where did you go? Is that where you pulled it from? All right, let's continue. Or we will be here all night. We have a lot.
And really narrow down what her observations were. And then there are, you could look at the potential cameras in the area. There's some systems there that you could view pretty clearly.
To Scott Eicher, how do you separate what is important and what is not? I mean, you really have to follow every lead down, including this.
Yeah, I've worked in these type command posts before, and it's just a flood of leads. So you have a triage team that's trying to pull out what they think is important, send investigators out to handle right now, and something like this would be one of those in my mind. Hey, you got someone screaming. It's around the same time. Whether it's connected or not, we need to go check it out. So you get the tape.
It's weird because there seems to be a lot of activity in a neighborhood where there's not a lot of that activity. Many neighbors say this is such a safe neighborhood, but then I'm looking at other reports and it's completely conflicting that there were a string of robberies recently that resemble just this. But yeah, where the heck is Tommaso? Where the heck is Tommaso? Because they're band members. I think a lot of people miss the story about Tommaso and the bandmates. And there's the guy that got arrested for sending text messages to Annie and Tommaso. Where's my crypto? Right? Where's my Bitcoin? We're getting real tired of this. We're getting real tired of waiting for our money.
Interview the caller, see if the officers were able to find that individual. Was it related? Was it not? So thousands of things like this are taking a lot of time for the investigators to work through.
Question back to you, Dave Mack. Wasn't there evidence of law enforcement looking at a vehicle from a nearby Circle K?
There was, Nancy. Law enforcement was investigating. There's a Circle K near Nancy Guthrie's.
And this is good. I hope you guys are into this. Do me a favor. We still have 270 people in chat. Hit that like button if you would. Get yourself a membership, gift a membership, whatever y'all want to do. Just be here with me because we have a lot to cover. I'm trying to get to everybody's thing. Let me see if I can find the band members picture. I had them, but I don't know why my computer is being wacky. All right, let's talk about this theory. I'm still gonna get into what if this wasn't a ransom? I don't think it was.
Home. Law enforcement went there to try to retrieve video recordings, surveillance video from the parking lot of a dark blue or gray colored vehicle. Those were the basic facts. And we do know that law enforcement was able to obtain surveillance video from another Circle K, this one a little further away from Nancy's, but between her home and the home of Annie, her daughter, where they did retrieve surveillance video focusing on a very specific vehicle.
And I want to circle back one more time to the perp on the front porch. The January 11th date is the day that law enforcement asked neighbors to look at their video, to look at their home surveillance video. And there is a theory that the second perp skulking date was around January 11. And I think that is what is lending to a lot of speculation that the kidnapper had been to her home before. If he had been there before, to you, Chris McDonough, that would open up a wide variety of investigative possibilities. Video of that day, cell phone data of that day, license plates of that day.
And by the way, they're scrubbing all of those things as we speak, right? So they're looking at everything and they're not telling us. And then when we ask, it's like, well, we're not going to confirm that. All right. So we've spent lots of hours on this case. I think if you guys are interested, go back to the playlist because we spent a lot of time looking at the band members, and I don't want to go back to that on this episode because we've covered that. And right now we know one of them was arrested for making a false text message to Annie and Tommaso, but then we've got other ones in there as well. So how are those guys tied to the case and Tommaso isn't?
A lot more evidence if we could establish he had been there before. Agree or disagree?
No, totally agree, Nancy. You're 1,000% correct. And it also helps in the investigation to understand that this guy has concealed himself before the event. That's what we would call pre-event incident behavior, right? And then we have pre-behavior, incident behavior, post-behavior. And this would tell us a lot about his digital footprint that Scott can tell us more than we could possibly imagine here. But it would give the investigators a really good opportunity to open this thing up. Because the other thing, if you start looking at some of the other Ring camera videos of the burglaries, and I think there's like a couple of thousand burglaries in the Tucson area around that time frame. Notice most of those guys that are doing this are not wearing masks. Okay, and
they're not, and they're not dressed in a way like these people are, and they look a lot younger and smaller. I was going to get onto that theory because the theory's out there. I didn't know there was a string of robberies recently in that area. So that puts it to another point of it not being somebody directly connected. But in this case, I absolutely believe it is. And I believe law enforcement doesn't want to let that out of the bag that they know.
So that's kind of a really big indicator in this guy's behavior pattern. And that would move us forward to putting him on the porch the night of Nancy's abduction.
I'm just thinking back on that $1 million reward that the Guthries are putting up. For Pete's sake, to you, Iker, you've handled a lot of cases in homicide in Norfolk, Virginia. It's always the girlfriend, the wife, the ex, the grandma, the mother, the next door neighbor lady that notices something odd, something unusual, and comes forward. It just with $1 million on the table, don't you think that will make a difference, Iker?
I do think it'll make a difference.
They're going to get a lot more people calling in, but it's also going to be less credible. Now let's get back to that real quick. Mab just sent all the Tommaso band members 4 pics, and so did Sint. So let me show you real quick, guys. I don't want to hang too heavy on this because we've spent a lot of time going over this previously. I mean, we spent 3-4 hours on a case. So here are the bandmates. Okay, remember they were in a band together. We've got Tommaso there, and you guys tell me this was the guy with the lip that the mustache doesn't grow in. Tell me the names. We should have labeled them on there. Okay, there you go. Luke is the one with the swollen hand. When he was arrested, the cop or someone looked at it on the camera, but that doesn't tell us who Luke is. So we got Tommaso in the middle. That's Annie's husband. And then I believe that's Luke on the left. Did you guys label them? Anybody label them? Anyway. All right. So there they are. That's Tommaso. This was the guy that got arrested. Didn't they all 3 of them did, right? I can't see your guys's yeah, I am going to save it for later, but I want to show the band members. And there's a lot of new information. Luke is the one. I don't know what the swollen hand is. It's not labeled. And remember, Dominic Evans, the DE, Dominic Evans and Walter Congovis is what the internet says about Tommaso's band. Now, Dominic Evans or DE were one of the, these are the same people, guys. These are the same bandmates and the same people that people have been asking about, right? This must be the DE guy. And do you remember that, who is it? JLR was out there on the scene talking about DE, Derek Evans, who may be arrested, right? So those are the band members. We looked at them pretty heavily in one episode, so I don't want to spend too much time on them, but I still agree with, and I don't want to share anybody's. Let me pull this down before I take a look at what Mab's got. And I'll play this. Let me continue because we haven't even got to what the motive is in this case. Here, I'm going to find it.
Everybody has their price. Everybody has to kind of evaluate how this is going to affect them if they come forward. So you got to take that into account, that $1 million is going to help you, and you can stay anonymous. But you got to remember that these people are scared. Whether if they're involved or not, or know something, they're going to be scared. And I think Savannah's plea to them was just heartfelt. I think it was just showing them that, hey, it can be okay if we just give Nancy back to us.
American Home.
We weren't even going to watch.
The law enforcement has figured out who it belongs to and ruled that out. Now, to the DNA, joining us, a real expert in the field, Susanna Ryan. She's a laboratory director of forensics DNA.
Oh, good. She's covering the DNA. I have a whole section on DNA, and since we're going over that, let's go over that. Okay, let's talk about the DNA now, because the DNA was mixed, which made it difficult, and then it became more complex that Pima County sent it to their lab and FBI didn't get the chance. So I'm sure she's going to cover it properly. I was ready to go on that, so we might as well keep it here.
Analyst at Pure Gold Forensics. She's a forensic DNA consultant at Ryan Forensics, and believe it or not, she's been in the DNA business for over 25 years. Susanna Ryan, thank you for being with us tonight. First of all, I want to talk to you about the bloody glove and the rock that were found by a couple. I want to talk to you about how do you get DNA off of a rock that has been out in the elements, and will that affect getting a DNA match, if possible?
Certainly, being out in the elements can have an effect, a detrimental effect on DNA. We do know that things like...
Well, there wasn't a lot of elements. There weren't a lot of elements in the house. And from what we were told, that they collected DNA in the house. All right. Yeah, they're all the band members, and Mo Franjo. I think this is like episode 10 or something that we've done. You should definitely go back and take a look at that, because we named and showed and talked about all the band members. All right. And you sent the Tommaso band member pics, which I did, which I put up, but I don't want people to get confused.
Heat and humidity, exposure to rain, those can, or any other kind of moisture, can degrade DNA. So it can start to break down the DNA molecule, which makes it more difficult for us to be able to then go back to it and copy those segments of the DNA. If it was indeed blood on a rock, I would expect a large amount of DNA to be present in the blood. We do know body fluids tend to have lots of DNA. So that, you could probably just swab the rock. If this is something they think a very small amount of blood is present, or they think this rock was somehow touched or handled, then I would consider using something called the MVAC, a wet vacuum method of collecting DNA. It's really good at collecting from porous surfaces, something like a rock, where the liquid that's being sprayed down can get into all those cracks and crevices and then be collected and tested.
Well, we want to talk about specifics of this case. I don't know why we're doing that while she's telling us in theory. So let me tell you guys, because now people are confused AF. Okay? Confused AF. And I don't blame you, because when I do an episode, I try to break everything down, label it, show you, and do my best. All right? So first we're talking about suspects that we think match, and then we stop doing that. We go on to band members. These guys are not in the band. Luke and Zach are not in the band. And I don't know if y'all have been following the case enough, But his name is Luke Anthony Daly. And Luke is a 37-year-old Tucson man who became widely discussed online after he was detained during a SWAT raid connected to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Now, authorities have repeatedly stated he's not a suspect and he was released without charges. And however, they had enough evidence and enough information for federal FBI to get a federal search warrant on the house. So these guys are not band members. They're not band members. Tommaso is Annie's husband. Luke is a person that was detained based on the case from the FBI. The FBI tracked Luke down. All right. So, not only that, but him and his 77-year-old mom were removed from the home in the SWAT operation on February 13th. He was questioned and released without any charges. Okay. Now, Zach is also the other person that you're looking at on the screen. Zach publicly connected to Nancy. He's not a suspect, a witness, or a detainee or person of interest. We don't know exactly how he's involved, but rumor originated when people were talking. I can't help but trace the Zach rumor where it originated. Nothing on Zach or Luke Daly is verified. It's all just speculation, and we've seen the arrests happen. All right. So that's where we are. That is not the band member. That's a totally separate incident. That's why I think it's confusing. And I want to do this because the Nancy Grace one, I want to talk specifically about DNA from her home. Let's listen to
one that has cracked this case. The Pima County Sheriff sharing that DNA analysis has been challenging as they're now working with a mixed sample. And now a group of volunteers as well has gathered to help find Nancy. News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton is in Tucson tonight with the very latest. Brian, what more are we learning?
Yeah, the DNA news is not what people were hoping to hear. We talked about that last night, Natasha, that the sheriff is now calling it a challenging situation, that it could take maybe even a year to sort out, which people were hoping they would be getting results any day now. In terms of the volunteer search crews, it's the first time we've seen that happen, Natasha, and they all organized today. And they searched around Nancy Guthrie's home. They searched really in just the surrounding area. They went into tunnels. There's these drainage tunnels, dark tunnels that they were looking in. They were looking under rocks. It was quite a search. You can see some.
And I also wanted to let you guys know about the new search efforts, and that is they. Now, if they are looking down in the sewers and down in the tunnels, guys, Savannah and family absolutely believe that she's no longer with us. All right. And yeah, Dominic Evans is DE. DE was named by I think maybe it was on the scanner JLR was talking about, but Dominic Evans is absolutely intertwined in this case, and that's why it gets confusing, because everything is just speculation, even including this. Law enforcement keeps changing their mind on what they want to tell us.
Here at one point they found a backpack which the sheriff's office actually came out and retrieved. It didn't seem to match the backpack that we saw in the surveillance photos or the surveillance video, but it was just personal for a lot of people from this area who feel a connection to this case. Listen to what one woman told us.
My mother died many years ago, and she would be around Nancy's age now. And if this was her, I would want people to do what they could to help me find my mom. We can't change the past. We can only do what we can today. So the minute I heard that something had been organized, I was going to show up. So here we are. I didn't know him 3 hours ago, but we've teamed up on this.
You can hear the emotion in her voice, Natasha. I think a lot of people were just sort of waiting, watching law enforcement, but now feel like they want to do something. We've seen the flowers in front of Nancy Guthrie's house grow.
I mean, I don't know if they're looking for maybe a weapon or something that was dropped down there. I hope they're not looking for her, but I think they are looking for a body and all evidence at this point. All right, let's continue. I mean, these search efforts they have a huge amount of money into these search efforts, including the money that's being put into a private eye for the family digging in and then putting the money out there and the resources. The fact that Cajun Navy's ready to come in. We've got FBI. We talked about this the last episode. SWAT, like everybody's involved in this case. This is one of the most high profile cases ever.
Oh, and now we're starting to see these search parties. Natasha?
I appreciate that and all the people who are trying to help in this case. Brian Enton live on the ground in Tucson tonight. Thank you. And for more, we are joined by genetic genealogist CC Moore. CC, it is so good to have you.
All right, now this is the only real hope that we have that we know about is DNA. So I was expecting them to get that glove from inside the house with the DNA, and maybe it would take a month or so to check the genetic genealogy. But at this point, I don't even know if that's going to be possible. And she'll tell you why.
You back. I know so many of our viewers, thousands of our viewers watching our conversation from yesterday and hoping that this really could lead to the break in this case. First of all, what do you make of the sheriff's office now saying the DNA found in the home is mixed, that there's genetic material from more than one person? Explain to us, is this bad news or is this just a delay in the investigation?
Well, it's very concerning. We have successfully worked a lot of mixture cases in investigative genetic genealogy. So initially I wasn't too concerned about it because you can sometimes have very straightforward mixtures where you have the victim's DNA and the perpetrator's DNA, and it's not difficult to deconvolute that, to separate out the perpetrator's DNA that you're trying to identify. But the fact that they are struggling with it tells me this is more of a complex mixture than I had hoped. That could be concerning. If there are multiple unknown people in that mixture, if there are 3 people in that mixture, then it comes down to what are the proportions. If none of those people have over, say, 40% contribution, that could be a real issue. I know we've done cases where there were multiple people in it, but one person, the primary contributor, shared 40% or more. So we were able to.
And if they're able to extract that DNA and some of it may be Nancy's and some of it may be, let's say, Tommaso was actually part of it, right? But it sounds like they've used it so much and there wasn't enough in the first place. And now going into the genetic genealogy feels like it's impossible. Now, I would hope so, Janet, and good to see you. I would hope so because a lot of the suspects are absolutely Hispanic, but we're not watching those broadcasts because, well, we don't speak Spanish, but I hope so. I would assume so, especially since they're going into Mexico, which, by the way, I think is just way out of. I don't think Mexico is going to have anything for them except maybe the kidnappers
To identify that person.
or alleged.
Of course, I don't know the stats on this one, but the sheriff's update definitely concerned me and, made me a little bit more discouraged.
Yeah.
This case has a lot of ups and downs.
A lot of ups and downs, and I trust that discouragement and that gut feeling from you. Tell me a little bit more about what it means for timeline. Does it take months to disentangle multiple genetic pieces like that, or?
Guys, I looked that up earlier and it's crazy. It can take months to a year, and it depends on how much of it you have left over. That's not good. And Pima County already admitted they messed up the beginning of the case. Remember, we saw Brian Enton just walking up to that front porch, right on where the blood splatters were. We saw a pizza delivery driver bringing JLR pizza, just going right over the evidence. They screwed up.
Would they know fairly quickly if this is valueless because they're not able to disentangle these?
Well, I can only go on what he said. And the way he said it made me believe that at the moment they're stuck, but they are hoping for advancements in mixture deconvolution. So because genetic genealogy has been so helpful in so many cases, there are a lot of scientists and academics who are paying much more attention to what we do than they used to. And there are a lot of people researching right now on mixture deconvolution. In fact, one of the bioinformatics scientists from Parabon, where I work, had a grant to actually study more on mixture deconvolution. So I'm sure there's many other scientists out there working on this right now. It sounds like that might be what he's getting at.
And that's what we have to do in order to get that. Now, I see some of your questions behind here and I totally want to answer them. about the DNA mix, etc. We just don't know enough of where that DNA came from. We don't know if the DNA on the porch was mixed or completely just Nancy's. We don't know what they have in the house because they didn't tell us. But what they are saying is that there may not be enough for this.
Is that we need an advancement here. And
Understood.
This is exactly how we get advancements in the science, right? So it's not totally hopeless. Somebody could come up with a new technique tomorrow or next week that can help get this particular person's DNA isolated. The other problem is if there's 3 unknown people, we don't know which one is the one that we need to ID either. Right. So if they've got his DNA, if they're able to isolate her kidnapper's DNA, he absolutely will be identified through investigative genetic genealogy. As I've said, it's a matter of time.
Yeah, tell me more about this, because it sounds like it should be.
Now remember, guys, this could take a year, right? It could literally, this case can go cold in the next 2 weeks after things start to die down, new cases come up, and it can just go cold, and we're waiting and waiting for that genetic genealogy match to come back to somebody connected to who? We don't know.
Easy, right? That genetic genealogy means that law enforcement will have access to these massive consumer databases like 23andMe and all the ones we know, and they'll be able to find a relative who matches the DNA at the crime scene, much like in the Brian Kohberger case. But you say there are major public misperceptions when it comes to genetic genealogy. Why is it not that simple?
Tell us.
Well, there are over 50 million people who have taken direct-to-consumer DNA tests, but the vast majority of those people's profiles are in the 3 biggest companies: Ancestry DNA, 23andMe, and MyHeritage. All 3 of those companies have barred law enforcement's use and access. So we are actually limited to the 3 smallest databases, which are Family Tree DNA, GEDmatch, and DNA Justice. And there are less than 2 million profiles for us to compare against in violent criminal cases. So that is going to make it much more difficult than if we had access to the 50 million people who've taken tests, many of whom believe we are using their DNA, even though they aren't in the databases that we can access.
If we had access to those 50 million cases, to those 3 big databases, do you think this could be solved in minutes?
Right after this, guys, thank you guys for staying here with me. We still have 272 people in chat. I'm loving it. I want to make sure that this case gets as much attention as it can, as well as it just boggles my mind to hear the things that we are hearing and how it's broken down. And then the next day it's like completely different, and they tell us, well, we did say that, but it's not verified. All right, the one thing that we do know, they won't get the money. Absolutely not. Nancy Guthrie's been missing now. We're going on week 4. I don't think she's alive. There's never been a proof of life, and not that we know of. And it's more like a search and recovery of a body at this point. I mean, we can tell, right? We've done this long enough to know.
I do, but only if they're able to isolate the kidnapper's DNA.
Right. It's this added layer now, this added complication. Yeah. What can I ask? What specifically needs to happen to compel these 3 big databases?
Oh, I know what I saw. By the way, I saw someone in chat saying, well, if there were 2 people, isn't that weird that there wouldn't be 2 different or footsteps running through the front porch? You got to remember, they also left the back door open, which law enforcement has not told us that the back door was wide open. We heard that from a source of Ashley Banfield. And then we hear that there was a break-in point or spot. But then I ask you all, why would this perpetrator be at the front door, moving the camera and trying to go in through there if he could have got in anywhere else? And why would he have brought her back through the front door? Right? How could one person just take her out of bed and do this, and then blood dripping? We don't see anything, because I believe there was one in the front, one in the back, and there's a bunch of things in this case that they did to throw law enforcement off. Or it's like Occam's razor, and they're just really dumb criminals that made bad mistakes, but they're not that dumb, because we don't know who they are.
The 23andMe and others to help law enforcement in this case. And do you think that that is likely?
Well, I first approached them back in 2012, asking if this was something they're willing to do. And they were very resistant to it and have continued to be. In fact, Ancestry has become so resistant, they've now barred us from even using their digitized records, the billions of records.
Now remember, when you sign up for 123andMe and all of those in the very beginning, it said you know these are private, etc., etc. Now they're using them for this type of or these type of crimes. But now this Ancestry doesn't want to do that because people get skeptical and say, I'm not going to do this if my DNA is just going to be out there. And what if it's matched incorrectly? People don't want that. But we want that to find the perps because we're not doing anything wrong.
Public family trees and their tree building software to do these types of cases. So it's gone the wrong direction, right? They've gotten less willing to help. So I think the only way they would is if there was a successful warrant. If the FBI or Pima County.
That cannot be the same guy that came previously. How is that possible? How did he not know there was a camera there enough to start doing this and blocking it and then go get shrubbery to block it? That just tells you that there's more than one person. And we see it.
Serve them with a warrant for access to their database, which I think is a real strong possibility.
Yeah.
If they're able to isolate that DNA, it could happen. And I think they have a very strong legal argument. I'm not a legal expert, but based on what I've heard, it's a very strong argument that the attorneys would be making for law enforcement to access that database.
What can people do if they want to help on an individual level?
Well, thanks for asking. They can download their raw data if they've tested their DNA anywhere, upload it to GEDmatch, DNA Justice, and Family Tree DNA. And in GEDmatch, they also need to check the box that says that law enforcement can compare against their DNA. And that they can help us solve lots of.
A lot of people don't want that, but I wish more people would. All right. Because then they're going to start locking up, a cousin or uncle or what's up, Sherlock homegirl? Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Right after this, we're talking exclusively about what if this is not about a ransom at all? Well, then what is it?
Cases, right? We have hundreds of, or I'd say thousands of cases in those databases right now that are waiting to be solved. So even if they didn't help solve Nancy's case, they may give answers to another family or survivor of violent crime.
Cece Moore, great to have you back on again. Thank you so much.
All right. So that was the DNA breakdown. I really do hope that we're not going to come back and hear from them that they didn't have enough and it was too, there was enough. We'll just say that. All right, let's get into this. This is great. Let's have this discussion. I have alternate theories as well that will go with this. It just depends how long y'all want to stay here. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can.
Killers with Tony Bruschi. Here now.
Again, this is in my description.
Those are the obvious questions.
Hold on, we don't want to miss.
Really asking. And it's not about who took her. Those are the obvious questions. Where is she? Who took her? Yeah.
Right.
Of course. Love to know those. But the question nobody's sitting with, but it's really sitting with me is this.
No, it is sitting with me. It's been sitting with me. And I've been waiting for this discussion because every time I've came on and presented this episode, I've said to you, something's not right in this case. You don't do a kidnapping and forget to leave a ransom note and then send it 2 days later. And then switch up in the middle of it a different account that you want. The language is different. And you're sending these letters to TMZ and other news stations. All right. So now we're going to actually really talk about that intelligently.
What did they actually want?
Yes. What could they be possibly?
Because now we're literally entering the fourth week, 20 some days, an 84-year-old woman with a pacemaker, limited mobility, and a daily medication regimen that she apparently can't skip is somewhere that isn't her home. And the person or people who put her there have not made a single verified, authenticated move towards getting anything out of it.
Nope.
No confirmed direct communication with law enforcement, no negotiated channel with family, nothing that can be traced back to an actual actor with an actual demand that anyone with authority has been able to confirm. What instead we have is a lot of noise. Letters showing up in media outlets, local news stations, letters that law enforcement has never formally authenticated as coming from whoever actually has Nancy Guthrie. And we know at least one person, a man in California, has already been federally charged for sending fraudulent ransom demands in the case. So
And see, was it fraudulent? And when he says the man from California, that man from California is connected to Annie and Tommaso. Where's my Bitcoin? We're getting tired of waiting. Was that really a false text message, or were they getting impatient with them? Right? Either way, whoever pulled this off or whoever did this, I just, what is the motive besides money? There's something bigger than that, because they could have already got the money and they haven't.
Ransom narrative that's been dominating a lot of coverage, depending on where you look. It's built largely on unverified correspondence aimed at cameras.
Yep.
Not at the FBI, not at the family, through any secure channel, not through any mechanism that a serious kidnapper uses when they actually want to collect. So here's what that means and why that matters. In every documented ransom kidnapping in American history, the kidnapper communicates.
Okay, that is a very powerful statement that he just made. And we've talked about that from day one. Every ransom, every kidnapping, and throughout American history, they leave a ransom note. You know what it is that they want. All right. No, they haven't debunked the ransom notes, but if you listen to this, it's telling you that, and you hear that they didn't leave a ransom note for 2 days. And when they did, they sent it to 2 local news stations and TMZ. That just doesn't happen. All right. So after you hear this, you're going to say, wait a minute, what is the motive?
Directly, specifically, they want to be believed because they want to be paid. Frank Sinatra got a phone call. The Lindbergh family got ransom notes delivered to the house. J. Paul Getty's family eventually received proof of what was happening to their grandson when his ear was sent to a Roman newspaper. Grotesque, yes, but unmistakably direct. We'll give him that.
Yep.
The message was, we mean it. And here's proof. That's how this works when it's about money.
That's how it works when it's about money and when it's about kidnapping for a ransom. All right. You leave a note, you send a proof of life, you communicate back and forth, and you do it fast. You don't want to be feeding, this lady food every day and making sure she has her needs taken care of. Criminals don't want to do that. They want a quick in, they want a quick out, they want their money and gone. So what could it be?
Establish credibility because your leverage evaporates the moment nobody believes you. So remove the assumption of a financial motive. Take it off the table entirely here.
Yep, take it off because they don't.
What are you left with? You're left with a crime scene in the Catalina foothills that tells a very specific story. A masked armed male who showed up at 1:47 in the morning and deliberately disabled a doorbell camera. Not knocked it over, not walked past it, disabled it, which means he knew it was there. Maybe he came with a plan. He came prepared. DNA from gloves recovered near the scene doesn't match anyone in the national database, either a first-time offender or someone who has never been caught before. A unique gun holster that investigators are now tracing through gun shops because it has characteristics distinctive enough that someone somewhere should recognize it. This wasn't a burglar who panicked. Burglars who panic don't disable surveillance equipment on the way in.
And guys, I gotta tell you, I still, even though I don't want to directly point at and say they are, but are Annie, after listening to this and figuring out that this was not more than likely a kidnapping, it was something gone wrong. Let's say a power of attorney, maybe mom's gone and I gotta take care of her finances, whatever it might be. I posed the question, are Annie Guthrie and Tommaso Cioni the missing link in this case? Remember, the one person that did get arrested was connected to them. right? And he got arrested and released, which I don't know what charges are still coming because they put a lot into that, right? He sent them text messages about the ransom. There should be consequences for that. And then we look at Luke and we look at Zach. Are Annie and Tommaso that missing link? Stay here. Stay with me.
And people who want money don't go 3 weeks without trying to collect it from a family that has said publicly on camera that they will pay. Something else is happening here. And history, specifically, the history of crimes involving famous people and the people they love, gives us a framework for thinking about what that something else might be. And again, I'm saying might. I do think your odds in this case lean far more into the angle. And
Well, that's the problem. The language they're using is odd as well. Technically, nobody's ever been arrested in this case. Technically, that's what law enforcement's saying, but they were because they detained the man from California and then they let him go. He was technically arrested. They don't want to call it arrested. They're calling it detained. There were several people that were detained but not arrested. What difference does that make if they were to say they're arrested, they didn't have enough evidence, so we're releasing them? I think because there are connections there to connect the people that are involved. That's the only thing I could think of. You're right. People are right. There's been not zero actual, if you were to go on Google or go anywhere and say who was arrested in the case of Nancy Guthrie, nobody. Nobody's been arrested and nobody's been held longer than enough time to talk with them. If they didn't want money and they didn't want, what did they want? They didn't want money. It wasn't an inheritance. What is it?
The pit of a B&E gone horribly wrong and somebody now hiding in the shadows, hoping never to be found. But it could be something else. And it's important to look at all those angles.
Absolutely.
On December 8th, 1980, Mark David Chapman waited outside the Dakota Building in New York City for most of a day. He had an autograph signed by John Lennon earlier that afternoon. He waited anyway. He wasn't there for money. There was no demand. There was no extraction plan, no negotiation. He was there because he had built an entire internal world around a famous person, around what that person meant, what that person represented, and he needed to collapse the distance between himself and that meaning in the most permanent way he could conceive of. Chapman didn't want anything from Lennon. He wanted to matter to Lennon, to force a relationship that fame had made impossible.
Right. And guys, think about John Benet Ramsey, all right? Detained just as Prince Andrew, right? No arrest. But then you get other words that say Prince Andrew was arrested on his birthday. So what's the difference? Mab says they just have to make the case before they make an arrest. Just like, but here's the thing is that they're going to the judge and they're getting federal. That's a big deal. A federal a search warrant. It's not easy to get. You have to have evidence telling the judge or whoever's signing off on that why you think that it's important to get inside of their house and even detain a 77-year-old mom. What was it that triggered that? Right? And why aren't they saying anything? And if it's not for money, then what is all of this for?
Any other way. To insert himself into the story of someone who mattered to millions, and by doing so, matter himself. That's a category of crime distinct from robbery, distinct from a ransom. It's about proximity. It's about forcing acknowledgement from someone who would otherwise never know you exist. Now hold that against what has happened to Savannah Guthrie in the past 3 weeks. Within 24 hours of her mother's disappearance, she was on camera, visibly devastated, speaking directly into a lens, addressing whoever took Nancy. She's posted video after video. She stepped away from a career-defining assignment. She was going to be at the Winter Olympics. So she could be.
Her husband came to join her. We have huge amounts of support. They're doing everything possible to comply with people that are not even responding back. All right. They don't want the public to know either. right? But how are they going to catch them if they don't? Either of them. That's what I'm saying. It's so obvious they know, but it's not, because they keep pointing us in different directions. Just wait. You guys want to stay here for the Annie Guthrie and Tommaso, the breakdown if they're the missing link. All right. And there's a reason why we're not being told. All right. Well, we're going to talk about the timeline gap between 9:50 and 1:47 in the morning. The significance of the January 23rd guy walking backwards. All right. The DNA recovered near and inside the home, and the $6 million ultimately Bitcoin demand. They went from 2 to 4 to 6, but then they never even really tried to collect it at all.
Present in Tucson. The president of the United States called her personally. 400 federal investigators are working the case. The entire country knows her mother's name. If someone took Nancy Guthrie to get Savannah Guthrie's complete, consuming, public, desperate attention, they got it on day one. And they've had it every day since. That's not a theory. That's a behavioral possibility that any serious investigative lens has to account for, especially when the financial motive hasn't produced a single verifiable communication in 3 weeks. There's another pattern worth understanding, and it comes from a different corner of criminal history. Danny Rawling didn't choose his victims in Gainesville, Florida, because of who they were individually. He chose them because of what their deaths would do, the fear they would generate, the coverage they would produce, the scale of reaction.
And guys, I think that he's completely onto something. You cannot tell me that a kidnapper wants the whole world to know that they kidnapped Savannah Guthrie's mom. We didn't even hear Nancy Guthrie's name for at least a day, maybe a day and a half. It was all about Savannah Guthrie's mom kidnapped. What's up, Jumpas? Look at our pretty boys in the house. The guy double dressed as nothing. They change in fatigues at night. All right. Did you see the last thing I sent you about them saying the suspects may have gone to her house? Yeah, I did. Yeah, we talked about that already. Absolutely.
They would trigger. He was performing. The victims were the vehicle. The audience was the point. Some crimes are designed to be experienced by people far beyond the victim. The famous connection, or in this case, the famous daughter, is the amplifier. Yep. It's what turns a local crime into a national story. It's what guarantees the reaction.
And what guarantees an even bigger reaction is if you go to TMZ and local news stations and pose it as, so is it revenge against Savannah? I mean, I'm just thinking, if it's not Annie and Tommaso and it's not somebody that's connected, why do they want the whole world to know about what they did? What are they gaining?
Action will be proportional to the perpetrator's need for significance. An 84-year-old woman living alone in a Tucson suburb under ordinary circumstances would generate a local missing persons case, a search, a bulletin, coverage that fades in days. She's Savannah Guthrie's mother. The coverage has not faded in 3 weeks.
I don't think
it has grown, and someone made that choice to take this specific person from this specific house on this specific night, and they never understood exactly what they were doing or the evidence.
And I think they released him just because they didn't have enough to hold him on more than just, oh, I was just being an idiot. When you say the guy that texted, the guy that's in the band that's connected to Annie and Tommaso. All right, let's continue. I want to get through this, and I still got some to go through, so I don't want to lose y'all.
That they planned this carefully suggests they did. Consider what happened in February 1974. When the Symbionese Liberation Army took Patricia Hearst from her apartment in Berkeley. Her father, Randolph Hearst, ran one of the most powerful media empires in the country. And the SLA's demand wasn't money in any conventional sense. They wanted the Hearst family to distribute $70 worth of food to every needy person in California, a logistical impossibility framed as a ransom. Randolph Hearst donated $2 million to a food program trying to comply. The SLA said it wasn't enough. They weren't collecting. I
want to specifically talk about this case. Let me go a little bit more forward because I have so much more to talk about. And when we look into this, it just keeps circling back to the same people. not one person, but people. And now we know, all right, we know that common sense, if you're a kidnapper, you're going to leave a note for money. Even the JonBenet Ramsey case, they did that as a way to throw off whoever it was that did that. Again, JonBenet Ramsey case was never solved. The paper was used from inside of the house. The exact amount of John's bonus was on there. And who else would have known about that? That wasn't in that house. What was that ransom note for? All right. A distraction. 100%. JonBenet was already dead.
Have deployed $200,000 in rewards money is on the table and rising. I think it's actually up to 3 now, and still nothing verified, nothing authenticated, nothing that constitutes an actual path to bringing Nancy home. If someone wanted to demonstrate that Savannah Guthrie's fame, her access, her platform, her connections to the highest levels of American power, that none of it is enough, well, they've made that point every single day now for 3 weeks. Here's a part that makes this case genuinely different from almost everything in the historical record of celebrity-adjacent crimes. We don't know the motive, and the ambiguity isn't a gap in reporting, it's potentially the design. A ransom killer wants clarity.
Thank you.
They want you to understand exactly what they want and what it will cost to get it.
And the transaction does not take a month. I'm telling you right now, real, true kidnapping, in my opinion, would never do what they did in this case. And they wouldn't even want anybody to know about it. They wouldn't want TMZ or the local news station. But what I can bet you, I will bet my car keys on the fact that if they would have, the person or people that took Nancy Guthrie were to have not said one word to anybody, but directly went to Savannah with a Bitcoin wallet and said, we've got your mother. And maybe let's say she's already dead. Let's say they already killed her. All right. Let's say she's gone and they say, do not get the police involved, Savannah. I want $2 million in Bitcoin by Monday at 8 a.m. But that's not what happened. She didn't even get a ransom note. They sent it to TMZ. Wouldn't you send it to the person that's going to pay for it? In my opinion, the ransom notes are someone else. I believe some of them are someone else. Absolutely, I agree. Van, they're holding for ransom. They want a piece of Savannah, and Nancy's the closest thing. Just that and it's plausible at this point.
Action requires mutual understanding. A person who took Nancy Guthrie for reasons that have nothing to do with money, for obsession, for pain, for power, for some grievance we haven't identified yet, doesn't need clarity. The suffering is happening regardless. Savannah Guthrie is on camera regardless. The investigation is continuing and consuming resources regardless. Whatever they came to accomplish, they accomplished it on the night of February 1st, and everything since has been the world reacting to them. If you want to hurt someone with a public platform, you don't go after the platform. The platform is protected, managed, surrounded by handlers and security and institutional walls. You go after the person they love in a house in the foothills where there's a doorbell camera and a pacemaker and no one else home after 9:45 at night.
Right.
You make the famous person feel powerless. You make them beg publicly. You make their pain the story. If that was the goal, it's working. 400 investigators are running down thousands of leads. DNA evidence is being processed. A distinctive holster is being traced through gun shops, surveillance footage pulled from doorbell camera back-end systems. Footage the perpetrator tried to destroy has given law enforcement a physical description and a visible profile that they're actively working. These cases do get solved, almost always through a single thread, a DNA hit, a purchase record, someone who talked to the wrong person about the right thing. The FBI's history with crimes involving public figures and their families is strong precisely because the resources available are extraordinary.
And I wish we had more on that. Now, something just came up. What's up, the great one, Julio? I completely agree. Now, listen, just a few minutes ago, and I don't know what it is. It says just in results of DNA from Nancy Guthrie's home revealed. So do you guys want to hop to that for a second? Right after this, and then I have more. All right, let's continue. I want to finish this, but I also want to show you that. I want you guys to understand that what he's saying, I guess what he's saying is just confirming what I've been saying, that this is not a robbery gone wrong, and this was not a direct connection for a ransom amount. There's something more. What motive turns out to be financial, psychological, personal. We're almost done here.
Something we haven't named yet. The clock on her well-being doesn't stop running while investigators work to figure out which kind of crime this actually is.
Right.
She didn't ask to be part of this story. She raised a daughter, lived in the same community for 50 years, showed up to virtual church on Sunday mornings, and went home with her family on the night of January 31st, the same way she had 1,000 times before.
And the last person to see her alive was Tommaso. Now, let me look at this. We still have more information as we're doing this. It's coming in, and I want to show it to you so that we can get as much as we can get out there. I want to show you this because we were talking about Tommaso and the band. And we love you too, Sadie's mama. Nobody has been talking about the Epstein files. There are a lot of channels talking about it, but I'm not one of those. I'm going to let them do the coverage. Is something into now? Look, real quick. I like that Jennifer Coffendorfer. Oh, I like the work she's doing. She's been doing this every day, giving us updates. And now the band did a deep dive into Early Black. Now listen. That is Tommaso Sione's band. I say deep because nearly everything to do with Tommaso, Annie's husband, and Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law on social media is gone. They deleted it. Is he getting harassed? Did he go private? It seems he wanted his footprint gone. Anyway, I was curious about his album, Life, Love, Murder. I also wanted to get a taste of his music. Below is what I found. All right, let's take a look at this real quick so you guys can see about Tommaso. Tommaso is the number one, in my opinion, person of interest because he was last to see Nancy alive. All right, so let's listen real quick. You'll hopefully, if you don't know about Tommaso's band, here it is. And thank you, Coffendorfer, for doing this. All right. So anyway, I mean, that was cool that she put that up. We couldn't find any of that anymore, but that's the band that we're referring to. They haven't been a band for quite some time, but that's the band, and they deleted all of their stuff. All right. Now, what does that mean? Now, there's the band again. Tommaso and his bandmates, the guy on the left. You see that? I want you guys to see that because it keeps coming back to them. Thomas and his bandmates, the guy on the left. Look at the eyes. Look at the soul patch and the mustache. Remember we called it the flavor saver? And Julie Bug just sent me this. I wanted to just show you this quickly as well, a side by side. But all investigations that I've been doing with this case just keeps coming back to these guys. Now, DE, this guy was arrested. This guy right here is the one that texted Tommaso, and he's not in this picture, and said, "Where's my Bitcoin? We're getting tired of waiting." Okay. Again, you can't see them. You can't find this stuff online because they deleted it all. The music's garbage. I agree. But the death, love, it's kind of like the David case where we compared the music to what a weirdo he is. Okay. So, I just wanted you to see that. And in the beginning, Tommaso Sione is in a band called Early Black. Their Facebook page has vanished overnight. and Tommaso was the last person to see Nancy Guthrie. Again, there's your Occam's razor. The closest thing is usually what happens, right? This is them more currently, because you can see the gray hair. Earlier on it wasn't, same as this guy, right? And then Tommaso with Nancy Guthrie. But I just wanted you to know who the band was, just in case you didn't. There's more stuff dug up here. You see the different body posture, stance, eyes, beard. It just gives you a little insight, a little more insight about, Walter Concavlis. You hear his name and you're like, wait, what? Who is this? What does that mean? All right. And then I'm going to bring you to this real quick, which I saw this and I just didn't have it. Oh my goodness. Look at this guy. Not only is he a member for longer than a month, but he just gifted y'all 10 memberships. Jumpas, you're the man. I'll definitely be giving out a book tonight. All right, does any band members wear a pinky ring? That's interesting. You guys, please thank Jumpas if you receive that from him. Okay, so let me stop sharing this. I want to share this real quick too, because I thought this matched quite a bit as well. This is DE. This is the guy that is in the band. Okay, now Luke and Zach are two different people that we did side-by-side comparisons to. But that is DE. That is the guy that was in the band, and that's the guy that text messaged Annie and Tommaso saying, "Where's my damn Bitcoin money?" Look at the lips. Look at the eyes. Look at where he has a scar right there. Look at the lips. Look at the lips. There's a scar right there. Those eyes. Again, in my opinion, there's more than one person. All right. So thank you, Julie Bug, for sending me that. I don't want to share my email information, so I'm going to stop sharing that. And I want to show you what just came in from the DNA results. Hopefully something good and not just clickbait. All right, so let's see what happened here.
We also want to bring you this. A Fox News alert, Savannah Guthrie posting a very heartbreaking video this morning on the search for her mother, Nancy. And she is now offering a new $1 million reward. Let's go to Max Gordon. He is outside Nancy Guthrie's house today for an update. Hi, Max.
Okay.
Hey there, Dana. Well, several new updates on the case today. There are now questions about the timeline of when everything happened in this case. Savannah Guthrie posting that new heartbreaking video this morning, and then new information on the DNA evidence that was found inside Nancy Guthrie's home. According to two federal law enforcement sources that spoke to Fox Digital, the DNA samples from the home came back to people who had reason to be there, and then one partial sample yielded a result that couldn't be checked by the FBI.
There you go. So we did just get some breaking news, guys. So no evidence is contaminated that we're hearing of right now, but we're also hearing that the DNA that was inside of the house that was possibly mixed were people that were supposed to be there. Now, Krista, I normally would say that's a nothing burger, but you know what? That isn't, because the things that they're testing, we don't know what law enforcement tested. And of course, we've always said from the beginning, it's somebody that the Guthries know. It's somebody that Nancy knows. By the way, there's 333 people. Let's say a prayer. You guys know the angel number. Say a prayer that Nancy Guthrie gets brought home. All right. In life or death, may she rest in peace. All right. So I'm actually really glad to hear that they were able to. Carrie, what's up? Okay. Yeah, I'm speaking of the scar on his lip. All right, let's continue. I didn't realize it was going to come back that soon. But that's the key to what they said. It was where it was found inside where it was supposed to be. Well, duh, because whoever did this was somebody that knew them, in my opinion.
Guthrie's home. According to two federal law enforcement sources that spoke to Fox Digital, the DNA samples from the home came back to people who had reason to be there, and then one partial sample yielded a result that couldn't be checked by the FBI's CODIS database. This comes as a source close to the investigation.
So now what's going to happen, guys, is that the DNA evidence that cannot be checked in CODIS is now going to genetic genealogy to be tested and try to find a match. So yes, you got it. Say a prayer, because that would be amazing if they can use that and tie it to somebody. I don't get why throwing money. You know why they're throwing money around? Oh yeah. I don't know if you were here at the very beginning, but I think the money that's being thrown around right now is more of a bounty hunter amount. It's getting people that know what happened closer to telling FBI who and what they saw. I think that $1 million and the 500,000, I think it's a bounty hunter price, period, in my opinion. All right, let's continue. I did not know that. It's not giving us a suspect, but they're also not going to tell us exactly either. But what they did tell us was that the testing was some testing of people that should be there, which means almost nothing, because a lot of people that should be there are most likely the people that committed the crime. A pool person, the cleaning lady, the laundry services, etc., etc. All right, Savannah wanted to do money on day one, and Nano said no, thank you, Jumpas. I wanted to get that across to people that Savannah was not being cheap, but they didn't want her to start putting money forward and getting a bunch of fake emails and fake stuff. That's what they didn't want. All right, let's continue. I'm glad to hear this. Next, we're jumping to, are Annie Guthrie and Tommaso Cioni the missing link in this case, guys?
Tells Fox Digital the suspect caught on Guthrie's doorbell camera may have shown up before her disappearance. The Pima County Sheriff's Office has called this speculation, saying all the photos released by the FBI were from February 1st, the day Nancy went missing. But according to the source cited by Fox Digital, one of the images released to the public was taken on a different date. And then this morning, Savannah Guthrie released another heart-wrenching video. In it, she acknowledged that her mother may not be found alive and pleaded for anyone with information.
And I think she actually knows that. I think law enforcement has told the family to prepare for a search and recovery of a body. That's why the Cajun Navy wants to come in now. Well, the goatee, yeah, but the eyes too. But remember, Mab, he's also arrested. He absolutely got arrested for texting Annie and Tommaso. Where's my Bitcoin? All right, let's continue.
On Nancy's whereabouts to come forward, announcing that the family would pay up to $1 million for information leading to her recovery.
Please keep praying without ceasing. We still believe. We still believe in a miracle. We still believe that she can come home.
It is now day 24 of the search for Nancy Guthrie. Law enforcement still hasn't named a suspect or a reason.
They haven't named anything or done anything. In my opinion, they botched this, and I think FBI is going to come in and clean it up.
Her disappearance.
All right, let's check if let's go back to this, because Annie and Tommaso may just be that missing link to all of the people involved. And I know now, in my opinion, that there's more than one, more than two even, possibly. All right, this just came out minutes ago, and it's politics and Anthony, but this guy is talking. This came out 6 hours ago this morning, and it's talking about the latest developments. And are Annie Guthrie and Tommaso, he spelled Cioni wrong, the missing link in this case? It's only 10 minutes. Let's go, guys. I'm still catching up on breaking news right now. $1 million reward got turned down live on CNN by the United Cajun Navy. And I'm not sure why or what, but right now there's a bunch of new stuff coming out, guys, as we film. All right.
January 31st, Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, Arizona.
Hold on.
4 hours earlier, she had been having dinner with her daughter, Annie Guthrie, and son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni. 20 days later, the investigation is no longer just about a missing elderly woman. It is about timelines, rehearsal footage, 2 separate DNA profiles, and a question investigators have still not answered publicly. Who knew that house well enough to move through it in the dark?
All right, so this is going to be an awesome connection to tie everything together, and I'll try to put out any more breaking news that comes. They said they don't want the money, they just want Nancy returned. They did say that, and that's what I believe they're using the money for, is to get that person, the person or people that do know the connection, which may be Annie and Tommaso or any of the bandmates, to get paid. Now, thank you for that. Okay, what about the connection between Dominic Evans, Kayla Day, and Luke Daly, and something to do with Savannah coming back home and Miss Nancy being taken to an older band? Now, we did 4 hours one day, so I'm not going to go over the connections of Kayla and Luke right now, but Dominic, we know that he sent a fake ransom text. But the other three, I'm not going to connect right now because, well, Sheriff Barney Nincompoop Fife already messed it up. But we go back to my playlist. If you're new here, I have 1,900 videos and lots of playlists on lots of cases that you're probably interested in. So go back, check it out.
Here is what is confirmed. Nancy Guthrie was last seen on the evening of January 31st after spending time at the home of Annie Guthrie and Tommaso Cian, who live roughly 4 miles away. Around 1:47 a.m., the Nest camera system at Nancy's residence was manually disconnected. There are conflicting accounts about who drove her home. Some reports state Tommaso, others say Annie, and some indicate both were present.
And remember, we haven't seen them. Where have they been? Why was it that their friend / band member texted them particularly? And why every time we see them are they hiding? Now, the last time we saw Tommaso, he was completely hiding his face, and I thought he had shaved his beard off. All right. So again, we were circling back to these two people. Are they the missing link or links?
Consistency has not been publicly clarified. 9 days before Nancy disappeared on January 23rd, a video surfaced from the Ring Neighbors app. It showed a man late at night walking backward up a driveway in the Catalina foothills. He kept his back toward the camera, chin tucked, movements deliberate. That driveway was approximately 6.5 miles from Nancy's home. Investigators have not publicly linked that video to the abduction, but the timing and the geography have become central to online debate, and this is where the case begins to tighten. The January 23rd figure did something unusual. He maintained a backward orientation even when a dog barked. He did not turn. He did not expose his face. Security systems such as Ring and Nest rely on motion activation. There can be a brief delay before full recording begins. Walking backward could limit facial capture during those first seconds. That interpretation has circulated widely, though it remains an analysis, not an official finding. 9 days later, on February 1st, a man appears on Nancy Guthrie's porch. This time, he walks forward. He approaches the camera directly. He taps the lens twice before covering it with a potted plant.
Now, again, if this were the same guy that and no, we have not. We don't know if female, males, none of that. He doesn't have an Italian nose. We don't know. But what I can tell you is there's no possible way. Well, you can be that dumb, but more than likely, if that same guy was the one that cased the house a week before, he would not have missed that there was a Ring doorbell right on the front porch, right? Maybe he says, well, we're too comfortable. He was too comfortable at that house, and oh shoot, I forgot there was. Anyway, we're trying to see if this links back to Annie and Tommaso.
The backpack in the earlier footage, described as an Ozark Trail 25L hiker pack with reflective safety strips, appears visually similar to the one seen near Nancy's house. That similarity has been noted publicly. Verification needed as to whether it is definitively the same item. 2 locations, 9 days apart, similar terrain, both in the Catalina foothills. Was January 23rd a coincidence or something more deliberate? Now consider the timing inside the house. If Nancy arrived home around 9:50 p.m. and the Nest system was
All right, now this part's important. Timelines are key. This is very important. I'm so glad that we're looking at timelines again, because we know now that the timeline is different now that we don't actually know the real dates of these and that it was possibly 2 times of the same person, which I don't think so. I'd hide 2 if I were them. Who wants people snapping pics, especially when they know what people. I mean, I agree to an extent, but if my mother were missing, I wouldn't care what you took pictures of or what you said about me. I would be out there loud and proud looking for my mom. So I understand that, but at the same time, I wouldn't be hiding.
Connected at 1:47 a.m. That leaves nearly 4 hours. No public alibi for Tommaso Cian or Annie Guthrie during that window has been confirmed. Both live together, meaning any alibi would potentially overlap. But suspicion alone proves nothing. So what does the evidence actually show? It shows behavior on the porch that some have described as confident, even familiar. The individual did not appear to search for the camera. He moved.
Now, we know this is not that guy, but the reason I'm even showing this is because earlier I watched a video about the Tucson area and the large amount of break-ins that have happened this entire year, and they've got multiple frames with multiple different people. This guy is not the guy. But that being said, with the different robberies and string robberies going around, is that what this is? I don't think so, but I'm posing you that question. Could this be some just random people that did this?
Directly toward it. Is that ownership behavior or simply preparation? The answer matters because the next development shifts the focus sharply. Inside Nancy Guthrie's home, investigators recovered one DNA profile. On a glove found roughly 2 meters from the house, they recovered another. The profiles do not match each other. They do not match Nancy's family, and they do not match anyone in CODIS. 2 samples, 2 unknown contributors. That is not theory. That is confirmed forensic data, and it changes the entire architecture of the case. If there are 2 contributors, investigators must consider the possibility of more than one person involved. The sheriff has publicly stated that an accomplice has not been ruled out. Attention turned to Tommaso Cian, a 50-year-old advanced placement biology teacher originally from San Giovanni Valdo, Tuscany, who moved to Arizona in 2006. He plays bass in a band called Early Black. By public record, he has no known violent criminal history. The gear worn by the suspect, a ski mask, nitro gloves, an Ozark Trail backpack, and a Belly B band holster reportedly worn incorrectly, has been described by some commentators as inexpensive and unsophisticated. Supporters argue that Tommaso, as an AP biology teacher, would be unlikely to make such basic tactical errors.
And financially, I don't know if he's going to go into this because it just came out. Financially, they absolutely could not find anything about the fact that these 2 could afford to even be in a home in the way that they are with his gambling habits. Again, these are all rumors, but it just keeps leading back. And I saw that Julie Bug, but we just watched it and it looked like shrubbery. Right? I don't want to get off focus too much. Don't we have computer analyzers if we're going to give birth to a monster? Don't we have computer analyzers for, huh? All right, let's continue. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Anyway, this is a little bit about Tommaso.
Others raise the concept of calculated incompetence, the idea that deliberate clumsiness could be used to misdirect investigators. That remains speculative and unproven. The gloves are particularly discussed. Nitrile gloves are standard in biology laboratories. Having access to them would not be unusual for a teacher, but nitrile gloves are also widely available commercially. Their presence alone does not identify.
That is interesting because I didn't even think about him. I keep saying he was a science teacher and he's saying a biology, but yeah, when you do those classes and you have to do experiments, you absolutely use gloves. I do wonder, did he have those black gloves? Is there a connection at all? Yeah, the HVAC repair holds flashlights like that with their mouth. People that have to go under the house, etc. And yeah, they've got a lot of people that are around the house to maintenance it, but they're not naming the names. I'm glad you made it, Midnight Lace. All right, let's continue.
By a suspect. Then there is the matter of access. Whoever entered Nancy's home appeared to know the camera layout and that she did not maintain active Nest subscriptions. That knowledge could imply familiarity, but it could also have been learned through observation, verification needed. Financial threads add another layer. Nancy's Catalina Foothills property is valued at approximately $1 million. Annie and Tommaso's home is valued at roughly $650,000.
All right, let's talk about this for a minute because 1 million is a lot different in Arizona than it is here. All right. What's up, KCC? How you doing? Good to see you. Ma'am says bio is different. I know. Hey Jay, that's AI. What's AI? The guy talking? What are we saying?
Savannah Guthrie's estimated net worth is $40 million. The ransom demand was $6 million in Bitcoin. Was that number random or calculated? In May 2025, Tommaso Cian signed a durable power of attorney granting Annie control over financial and property matters. Legal experts note that such documents are routine in many circumstances. However, the timing, 8 months before Nancy disappeared, has been highlighted by online observers. There is no confirmed evidence linking that document to the crime. Search data reportedly showed Nancy's address being searched from Arizona beginning in March 2025, and Savannah Guthrie's salary searched in December. Allegations surfaced regarding possible connections, but verification needed as to
Yeah, well, I'm sure the video that was put together, the current video, I'm sure he used AI, but it's a real guy that's talking about it. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything in this where it's saying anything bad. He's just giving us information. I mean, this is Politics and Anthony. He's got, I didn't even subscribe to him yet, but 28,000 views on this. He might have used AI, but what's incorrect about it, guys? I'm not sure.
To who conducted those searches. Meanwhile, Annie Guthrie's vehicle was towed and impounded as part of investigative procedures. The sheriff described processing the car.
I understand what you're saying, but I do believe that he used that to generate the images to talk over. And so far, I haven't heard him say anything that would be nefarious. He's just connecting who Tommaso is and Annie and talking about gloves. So I hear what you're saying, guys, but I haven't heard any weird thing in this.
As standard practice. Investigators also searched the couple's home multiple times and examined their septic tank.
Yeah.
Such steps indicate thorough investigation, but do not establish guilt. Then there is Tommaso's bandmate, Dominic Evans, who has prior charges, including felony burglary, robbery, theft, and...
See? So there you go. None of this is none of this is lies. I do my videos with AI as well. So I haven't heard anything weird. Now there's a lot of other AI videos right now that saying Nancy Guthrie's body was found. Ton of clickbait talking about her body being found, but this is not that. He's actually just giving us real information. And like I said, I use AI in my other videos too, but it still has the same content. There's not about he told in Pima County, someone he knows goes to the same church as Tom, and he said he's the nicest guy you'd ever meet, even though he looks crazy. Interesting. All right, yeah, just stating facts, guys. Don't worry. Come on.
Embezzlement.
He's telling you
there is
that
no confirmed evidence linking Dominic Evans to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. However, his criminal background has been cited in online speculation. The Bitcoin wallet associated with the ransom has shown no activity. The FBI reportedly sent a small amount to it as part of monitoring efforts. No one has accessed it publicly. If this were a professional operation, would the funds have been moved? Or does the silence suggest something else? And why send ransom notes to media outlets rather than directly to the family? Was it theater or fear? Each answer opens another question. On February 16th, Sheriff Nanos formally cleared the Guthrie family, stating they were cleared in the first few days and had cooperated.
Again, I absolutely believe he didn't officially clear them. He didn't write down and say they're completely ruled out and cleared. In my opinion, and from locals, they say that the Guthries were putting pressure on him because people weren't leaving them alone. And so he made a statement and said, hey, they're not, yeah, they're not, this is not them. Stop looking at us. Let us do our job. I saw DE walking out of the FBI office. He's a little lanky and didn't have the same stride as the perp. But that's the thing, is I believe that there are two different perpetrators, not just one. All right, let's continue. Well, shoot, there was a man with his mouth moving. Identifying AI is a new skill these days. Well, AI is used in everything. It doesn't mean it's wrong. Now, if you find an AI video right now that says Nancy Guthrie's body was found, that's going to be AI clickbait.
Operated fully, surrendering phones, computers, vehicles, and property access. In investigative terms, cleared means current evidence does not support charges. It does not preclude future developments if new evidence emerges. Height analysis has also been discussed. Some observers believe Tommaso Cian appears taller than the FBI's estimate of 5.9 to 5'10 for the porch suspect. That discrepancy, if accurate, could argue against him being the individual on camera, though it would not address potential involvement in another capacity. Ultimately, the investigation now hinges on forensic comparison. DNA profiles recovered from the glove and inside the house are being processed.
Now, here's the problem with what they're processing, guys. Raven says all he did by publicly, he cleared them, will let a defense attorney tear him apart if they're found guilty. Yeah, he didn't write it, and he publicly said leave them alone. They're not people we're looking at. So yeah, it could get tricky if this goes full circle back to them, guys. Yeah, right. I mean, they've done that already. They've done that, but why haven't they told us up until now that these are 2 different days, 2 different videos, and now we're just talking about, are there 2 different people? We've been talking about that since day 1.
Genealogical databases may be used to narrow potential matches. The evidence will either converge or it will not. The January 23rd video may prove pivotal for one reason: it creates a second date. If investigators conduct cell tower analysis for the area 6.5 miles from Nancy's home on January 23rd between 1 and 3 a.m. and compare it with data from February 1st near her residence, any overlapping device could become significant. That possibility has not been publicly confirmed, but it
Now, nothing's been publicly confirmed, but guys, I got to tell you this as well. Law enforcement has said straight up that they're not going to let this stuff out because they want to, they don't want to impede on the investigation. But also, when they're doing the DNA and they say that the DNA in the house is people that are supposed to be there, well, rightfully so. Yeah, there are people that are supposed to be there because they knew how to maneuver this. What's up, Amy? Love this. So much information and people I didn't know about. Thanks. Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. If you look at the pictures with the 2 red circles, the one that shows the pocket, if you look close, like a walkie-talkie, maybe there. Yeah, I just keep seeing the plants on there. What's up from Falconess, Australia? Good to see ya. All right, now we're going to find out also why they're throwing more money at this, what that signifies.
Presents a logical next step in digital forensics. Nancy Guthrie remains missing. She has a pacemaker. She requires medication. 2 DNA profiles sit in a laboratory. A silent Bitcoin wallet waits. If the genetic evidence identifies a stranger, this becomes the story of a family caught in suspicion during a nightmare they did not create. If it connects to someone closer to home, the narrative changes entirely.
Right. And if it full circles back to Annie and Tommaso, well, here, okay, listen, here's what they did say publicly. This is the one thing I cannot get out of my head. Now, this one we're going to do what the rise in reward could signify, since you're asking.
That can bring her home. Somebody.
People are asking why they're throwing money at this the way they are right now. And this may give you the answer. But let me get back to real quick what I was going to say. Law enforcement has made it very clear to the neighbors and the people in the community that they have nothing to be afraid of, and there's no threat to the public. So how could they make that statement if they don't know who did it and they didn't even know that there was a second possible guy, or the guy had been there the week before? remember that. That is one of the major statements they've always told us as well as neighbors is they have nothing to worry about. Really? So what does that mean? Does that mean they have somebody that they're looking at, they're following them? What? All right, let's see why they're throwing money all of a sudden. Why didn't they do this on week 1?
Knows. We are begging you to please come forward now.
Don't worry, we're not listening to the whole thing
A
again.
new message posted on social media from Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Her family is now offering $1 million for help getting their 84-year-old mother back. It's now day 24 in the search for Nancy Guthrie after she was taken from her home in Tucson. There's a growing display of yellow flowers and ribbons, messages of prayers and hope, of course. Today's family message comes amid new questions. On the video, the FBI released of the masked man with a gun caught on the doorbell camera.
Sources tell Arizona's family there's video from 2 different days showing the same masked man went to the Guthrie house twice. So how does all this play into the decision to release this reward in the new video today?
Exactly. Why are they throwing money all of a sudden? And we've always believed it was targeted, but now they're trying to insinuate that there's a string of robberies and they were there before. Why not tell us that before? In my opinion, Nana's a joke. There's obviously a risk, even more nowadays, obviously. I've always said it's targeted and they had to have known, and that's why with the DNA being in the house to where it's supposed to be makes sense because it was somebody that coveted her, right? Who paid for the billboards? Probably the family. I don't think FBI does that. Do they? I know the Guthries are throwing money now.
And what could the reward signify about the status of the investigation? Our true crime correspondent, Brianna Whitney, is here tonight to explain what we know so far.
Yeah,
Brianna.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously, you just said it all that's unfolding, but watching these videos with Savannah, it's so hard. I
Each
mean,
time.
yeah, day 24, can you believe it? And you can feel the pain from her. I mean, she needs help. The FBI needs help, but that does beg the question, well, where does this all stand? Today is important because a former FBI agent says without a doubt, money talks, and a reward of this magnitude could get someone to come forward and crack the case. He says it also highlights something else, though. This likely won't have a resolution anytime soon. In the video, Savannah Guthrie says,
That's not good. And that's what I'm thinking when I thought about the DNA being so lost when it gets, by the time it gets to the genetic genealogy. But it sounds like we have a little bit of hope here. Let's see, Jay Washington's greatest. Oh, we did. We watched that earlier. Yeah, there are no coincidences in true crime, right?
they are holding on to embers of hope, but understand their mom may be gone. No matter the case, they want and need to find her and are asking someone to do the right thing by coming forward, even anonymously, to lead to the recovery of her, hoping the $1 million reward will aid in that. This coming as sources tell us the abductor may have been at Nancy Guthrie's home prior to the day she was taken. And CBS News sources say DNA found inside her home may be, quote, low level or be hard to get a usable DNA profile from. Former FBI Special Agent Lance Lysing says today's updates give fairly good clues about where the investigation stands.
Damn.
We're on day 24, seeing that this is a video going out today. This reward is now at where.
And earlier when I listened to, I've been listening all day, right, and covering this, they're saying that the people that are speculating about the, well, first 500,000, that's a signal to whoever did this, like, hey, we don't have a problem with paying the money. Money has never been the issue. The issue is proof of life. Bring my mom home. We have no problem paying you anything. So they threw 500,000 at NCMEC and now $1 million towards this. If that's what the kidnappers came to do, why are nobody coming to claim it? Why are we stop talking about the Bitcoin wallet change? Where are we in this damn investigation? Sheriff Nanos Pima disqualifies his continued involvement, in your opinion, right? Yeah, I know, right? There was no threat was used during the Goldberger case too, which is wild. Yeah, I mean, that's why we're here together, because what the heck?
And they're pleading for people to come forward. Does that mean that the FBI and the Sheriff's Department are at square one, that they just don't know?
That's terrible if that's the case. I don't think so, but I gotta tell you, from the first time we started covering this case to today, we're full circle. I hope you guys realize we are full circle with this case right now. It's literally feels like we're back on day one. Let's see what he says.
At all who did this?
Yeah. Well, I'd say the answer is no. They're not at square one. They probably don't know who did this, though, either. Like, I think those both can be accurate at the same time. But I think more likely they're looking for somebody on the ancillary, somebody a little bit outside the group, that the group, somebody from the group bragged to something about or showed them items that they've used in the past or made just some suspicious mention that had somebody, maybe a family member or friend, questioning, hey, maybe you were involved. That's probably who they're targeting.
Lysing says if investigators had an idea who this was or who the group was responsible, it's likely they would have used other tactics to try and get someone in a group to flip rather than a public up reward and plea for information. But
well, listen, they did a public plea because the kidnappers started doing everything public from the beginning. TMZ was the first one to get a freaking ransom note, and then it took them days to respond after, and then we're going to other media, local medias. Mab should be a comedian. He ain't got balls to the Pima to see through this. I read he did not want to offer the large reward initially because that amount was exactly that's Bard. That's what I was saying. They didn't want they started at $2,500 because they didn't want a bunch of people doing that. I'm gonna give a book away at the end of this, guys. All right. It's a book I wrote about my life, myself, but it's also helpful if you guys have or know anybody everybody has a gay cousin or nephew or sister or aunt. So 111 reasons why I'm gay. All right, this is a book I wrote. I'll sign it, and yeah, you'll win that at the end of the show. But you gotta hit that like button and get yourself in there, get yourself in the algorithm. Another ransom note, but weren't allowed to talk about the details and only shared some stuff. So who knows what they're allowed to share at the first time. And we got Mike Jones in the house. All right. We're still talking about why now and what that signifies. It sounds like they're running out of options on week 4.
with what we know about the case on day 24, Lysing says there's still a ways to go to even identify who did this and says, quote, there is no indication it is going to end soon.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. Tens of thousands of tips have been coming into that hotline. You got a little more insight from the FBI on their operation.
I did, yeah. So the FBI, right, they're functioning out of Tucson. They still have a team and investigators down there in Tucson, but they told me today that they've moved the FBI command post for this case back up here to Phoenix. That's the Arizona FBI headquarters here in this state. That's just to keep the high efficiency in the case, and it's a bigger facility to work on this.
Right. Which is great. That's great news, guys. That means we may be getting closer. Mike who? Mike Jones. Mike Jones is in the house. All right. I'm gonna have to get that book. I'm the gay cousin, sister, aunt. Right? You know, it's a possibility. 10%. I want you to see that this guy $1 million reward turned down live on CNN. And did you guys see the note that was outside of Nancy Guthrie's house, guys? Let me show you. And that's why I like JLR for covering this. Tice, thank you so much. Cam Video guys put Bush over Cam Light to the side. Really? Cam guys put Bush over the camera light to light the side. Okay. All right, someone thought that was a cell phone. Julie Bug, if you're still in here, that's what you thought was a cell phone lighting up. That was probably, you're right. It was probably that little the Byte flashlight, right? Why are you guys laughing at me? So sad. Pray for this mom. Help last we pray. She's still up. Mom, why are you laughing at me? What did I do? What is this? Who? What? Where? Mike who? Mike Jones. Mike who? Mike what? Mike Jones. Mike Jones is in the house. All right. Anyway. If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's okay. Anyway, new sign was placed out. JLR showed us 12 hours ago. They placed this outside Nancy's home, addressed to the kidnapper. All right. I didn't even see this. It says to Nancy's kidnapper. Unintentional things happen, and we get that. Life is made up of choices. Please make the right one now. Give the Guthries hope with proof of life, or tell them where Nancy is so they can get her and end this nightmare on both sides. The Guthries and the whole country are counting on you. All right. Prove to us that you're human and do the right thing. Okay. Now you take something like this and you tug at somebody's heartstrings that is connected into that inner circle, and you throw out $1 million reward, and now you got humanity. Your humanity's coming out, and the humanity goes along with, damn, I could have $1 million. Yeah, I like that guy. I kind of like that Luke and Zach guy, but you know what? I'm a good human, and I'll be even a better human if I get $1 million and help the family get her back, right? Whether she's alive or not, right? Politically correct. Who's politically correct? And thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, this is great that they did that, because I'm telling you what they're appealing to. What they're doing is they're appealing to your heart, to the person that did this or the person that knows. All you got to do is get somebody. I know I'm a sucker. I'm becoming less of a sucker, guys, but I got to tell you, when I first started this YouTube channel, I was a sucker for everybody. I empathize, sympathize. My heartstrings get pulled at when someone tells me that something happened to a family, or, somebody was murdered or kidnapped. And that's what they're doing. But then you throw money on top of it, and hell yeah, I'm going to turn them in. It's how everything on YouTube streets, it just comes how it comes through. All right. Yours would have been way different. But Mary Lou, if you look at the letter and what they put, these are almost the exact same terms that they've been using throughout the coverage with FBI guiding them. So I don't think, look at my mom says that sign touched my heart. I think that they use that sign to touch remember, it came out around the same time as the 500,000 and the $1 million reward. You think the perpetrators might start a GoFundMe sometime? Hey, maybe. All right. And the polygraph test, they came back, but we haven't heard anything officially on them. All right, this guy, hold on, let's see what else, if there's anything, because I was looking here. Serviceman showed me the pics he took of a chopper flying low right after Nancy went missing from home. So, this is the original, the OG picture. All right. And then you always get some good stuff on X. To the person who kidnapped her, I'm not going to tell you that there's good in everyone, to include yourself. I assume you only care about saving you. So here's this truth. This search doesn't stop when the media goes away. It only gets more organized. Your days of freedom are numbered as things stand. The one thing you could do now to ease your own burden is send a letter and share where she is located. It doesn't mean they won't be looking for you the rest of your life, but Nancy's the biggest part of this equation. The fury and the force is about finding Nancy. Right? Take some heat off yourself. It's the only real card you have to play. Giving up Nancy's location turns down the volume of this situation. And I agree. They are trying to plead to this person as a human being. And this person is pleading as a human being, but also saying, you're effed no matter what you do. All right. And again, riddle me this. This is Jen Koffendorfer. If Porch Guy came on another day, her nest would have altered Nancy. They have given a high-pitched chirp, ring, or even announce, depending on the settings that someone's there. Subscription or not, they hold the image recordings for 3 hours. How would Nancy not be alerted to the previous appearance of the Porch Guy? If she was, wouldn't she have reported? But you guys got to remember, she wore hearing aids. So was Nancy alerted about Porch Guy in the early mornings of the abduction? if the porch guy was wandering around initially without his gun and a backpack, which I don't think so. I now think there's two. Did she notify 911? No. Why is the lighting so different in the two photos? That I agree with. And we talked about a full moon on one night. Not sure. This is Jen Coffendorfer saying, I'm not sure that I'm buying two different dates, but it can't be ruled out. Law enforcement says it's speculation. A source says different days. I don't doubt a source said this. I just don't know if I believe the source, right? And again, you guys see this, and we talked about it. This could have been on the full moon night, or this could have been right as it captured. There was a light that drove by, or maybe the porch light kicked on, but this night it didn't. It wasn't a full moon, and it was black. So I don't know. I don't know what, but Coffendorfer's not buying it was two separate nights, and neither am I. I'm buying it's two separate people. All right. So you guys know 1-800-CALL FBI if you know anything about this case. And there are some good human beings, because this guy turned down the reward for $1 million. Let's take a look. And if I find any other breaking anything, I promise to share with you. Mike who? Mike Jones. Sorry, guys. I get these things stuck in my head. I got to get them out.
It's Josh Gill. He is the incident commander for the United Asian Navy. The group has just been deployed. They're on the ground in Tucson helping volunteers in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Josh, thank you so much for joining us right in the middle of your busy day. First of all, where does the search stand right now?
Good morning, ma'am. It's again a pleasure to be speaking with you. So right now what we're doing is we're going to meet with law enforcement early this morning. And then what we'll do is try and develop a plan further to see how we can assist law enforcement with gathering any information that might help bring some closure to the family.
Yes.
And as you well know, this has been going on for several weeks now. What new techniques could the Cajun Navy bring to this search that aren't already being used right now?
Sure, and that's a great question, man. We've got, again, as you know, a litany of resources, and we like to use technology. Dogs, as well as thermal drones with some special capabilities. Again, I think we could really add.
Guys, just real quick, I'm going to interject. First, let me say thank you, Raven Gypsy. If they were cleared, why hasn't the car been returned? Still being held as evidence. Why is that? And this is what I'm so glad that you asked that question, because not only have they not formally been cleared, Raven, but there has been other men that have also been detained, property taken, and then released while law enforcement still has the evidence that they collected from the federal search warrant. So I ask you, if they were cleared and not arrested but detained, then why did they get what made the judge sign off on a federal freaking that's suable? Why did they sign a federal search warrant to go trash somebody's house and take their 77-year-old mom and detain them? Is that a lawsuit? I don't always see everything, Elizabeth, but I can definitely go back to it if you did one. Can you read my super chat? It was missed. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to miss it. And I always go back. I just want you to know I'm not that person. I always go back, and you don't have to super chat to talk either. How to commit a perfect crime. Leave DNA where it's expected to be. Family, especially if the sheriff's directing cops not to look at family. 110%, Elizabeth. Thank you for letting me know that. I do go back to those after. I'm sorry it took me a minute, but that was my entire point when we heard them say the DNA came back. There was some that we didn't know, but the other one was expected. Well, what was expected? I ask you, where did they swab that would have been acceptable to have the DNA of the family? And you're right. How to commit a perfect crime? Why was the DNA there in the first place? Oh, because we're family. Of course, we're always at the house. You know, sometimes you get a bloody nose in the Tucson heat, and maybe my bloody nose mixed with her blood. You know what I'm saying? But 100%, I agree. And I've been saying that this is targeted from the inside. They knew what they were doing, and it's perfectly fine if the DNA is there, because even if you're the gardener, even if you're the pool guy, the house cleaner, your DNA is going to be there. What's more perfect than that? And thank you, Michelle. I missed that, but I always come back to it. Bring Nancy home. Love your show. I never win. Well, I hope you do, because today I'm giving away a book to anybody and everybody. You don't have to be a member, or you can be. Cam guy pushed the bush over the cam. Yeah, I saw that, and I was thinking that it could have been a cell phone, but now I agree with you. I think it could be a light. Yeah, who goes missing to the Olympics when their mother-in-law is missing? Who goes to the Olympics? Who went to the Olympics? What do you mean? All right, let's continue this real quick. This is the $1 million reward that got turned down.
Had some benefit and be additional boots on the ground and a force multiplier for law enforcement.
How many are in your group right now on the ground?
So right now it's just me, and what I'm doing is, again, doing an initial assessment, and then going to reach out to those law enforcement entities to see exactly what's needed and how we can provide additional assistance.
And so it's just you right now, but then how does it work from there? Do you bring in others within the group depending on what that assessment is?
Yes, ma'am. Again, we put a lot of our staff and our teams on standby, anywhere from drone teams to, like I said, to dog teams with scent-specific capabilities, as well as HRD dogs.
True.
As you meet with law enforcement and learn about this, what are your big questions for them?
I got you.
Biggest question is how can we help them? They're absolutely overwhelmed. A lot of tips are coming in. We do have some technology that we're utilizing called Saw It, Report It, that is on our website that people can go into, and they can add tips or anything that they think may be of importance to the case or to the search. Again, we're a force multiplier, boots on the ground, and we want to fall under that law enforcement capability there to make sure that we're providing all the potential resources they need.
The family is now offering this $1 million reward for information in the case. Do you think that might be the thing that finally leads someone to come forward? I know you've had so many experiences in these types of cases and what a difference a reward can make.
I like this guy. I like his integrity. He's not worried about that. He wants to help people, and I love it. And Juanita Jones, I don't know Spanish, but somebody should interpret it, especially in the area that they live. There's so many Hispanics in the area, and not only that, but people are going down to Mexico and they're saying that she's in Mexico. So why not? Why wouldn't it be interpreted in Spanish? I mean, I was hoping there's Spanish stations covering this, right? I don't know. What's up, Amy? Yeah, good question, and I don't know. Do not donate to this guy. What? What are you saying? What are you saying? All right.
Yes, ma'am. I think that the reward will have some additional information come out. But just to let everybody know, we're not here for the reward. Actually, if we were to be, I'd say lucky enough, but if we were to find any information or to find Miss Guthrie, we would turn that reward down. It is a significant amount, and what we would do is probably recommend that it goes to an organization like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children or other organizations of that sort. So we're not money driven. We're driven on providing some closure to the family.
Right. And Savannah Guthrie herself pledged $500,000 to that organization. But in terms of the public incentive, what have you seen historically in these cases when a big reward like that is offered and driving the public and offering tips?
You get a shitload of tips that are false. Yeah, there's no why is there no Spanish coverage? That's no way, Jose RV. I like that. That's terrible. I don't see why the Madeline Soto case had lots of coverage because of the Hispanic community and being in Florida. And in Florida, there's a lot of Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Hispanics, etc. Pick 120 says, my theory, it was a worker of Nancy unrelated to Savannah. I think she may have had words about their work. It angered them. Who knows? So many psychos. And people are still coming back to that neighbor. I think it's inside and targeted. Absolutely. Right after this, though, I got to show you what they told TMZ about all this. And I think they're going to stop sharing everything. TMZ, any and everything they get is just going straight to the police department, FBI, because what's driving them to continue this is the notoriety and they're sitting back. I guarantee you the people that did this are sitting back watching this coverage, maybe not me, but Nancy Grace, and basking in the glory of oh, look at what I did. That's the only way I would think about somebody sending and doing something like that, to go straight to the TMZ, to go straight to the news stations. It's like BTK and a lot of those other serial killers, they follow their own cases. You don't know who they are and they haven't gotten caught, but boy, are they proud of themselves. That's what I believe is happening right now, or they wouldn't have took this public. And now it's international, right? We got the Olympics that that Savannah didn't go to. There's a lot going on.
Oh, I think that there'll be a significant amount of tips that come out. It's unfortunate that it takes money to bring people to bear and bring resources to bear. But again, I think that there will be some tips coming in the very near future.
All right, Josh Gill, thank you so much. Nice to have you on. I know we had you on during the Texas floods too. Best of luck in all of your efforts. And if anyone has any information that can help investigators, please call the numbers on your screen. The FBI tip line is 1-800-CALL-FBI.
All right. Last one, but I also want to show you something else real quick. Interesting. And my neighborhood is not bad. I promise. It's more gentrified than ever. But we woke up this morning to the SWAT team outside. They literally were using our driveway to detain people and hold them back from the site. So I don't want to share too much, but look at this. The SWAT team. There was SWAT, local law enforcement, full on across the street this morning. It was crazy. I was taking pictures like crazy. They were taking these bags, tons and tons of bags out of the back and out of the van. And then they brought a U-Haul truck to haul all the stuff away. They arrested several people. That literally happened when I was going to take baby Guilty to school. They were out there with the helmets. I mean, it was full on. There were so many people out there. You couldn't even get out. Mama Pearl needed Mrs. Guilty to get her out because they weren't letting anybody go anywhere. But I mean, these were undercover officers as well. They had their faces covered. I thought some of the arrests were interesting. The two people that we actually saw arrested were females. The other ones they let go. It's crazy. Look at them walking out of the house. That's a female. Both sides is a female. And of course they had their high powered weapons, right? They take AR-15s. They're not messing around, guys. But anyway, you see that? This is a woman. They handcuffed her and then they followed her back in the house for her to either show them something or maybe get shoes. Then they came back and arrested her. And then in front of my car, they're right in our driveway. There's the police and the people that they were detaining, right? That's my car in the driveway. And it was blocked off like a mug. And we were standing out there. The guy's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, you're in our driveway. We're good. So many people. My mom is like, hey, did you see what was happening? And they had so much stuff that the U-Haul truck rolled up to get this recovery of whatever the hell they went there to do. Right. So they straight up brought a white pickup truck and a U-Haul to haul off all the crap that they pulled out of the house. I don't even know what happened, and it was right across the street. So that was a crazy morning this morning. I don't exactly know what happened, but something big went down when you got the SWAT team and local law enforcement walking around holding high-powered rifles in front of your house and blocking your street with 20 different cars and undercover cars. It was wild. That's what I got to say about that. That's what I was thinking, Anna. I was like, I wonder if they're making drugs over there, because they had the things that they were pulling out and they were identical. Each box, each square, identical. And I think they disguised it maybe as clothing, but it was wild. And when I find out, I'll let you guys know. Yeah, a lot of evidence, right? Luckily, I have a gate. Wait, Tommaso went to the Olympics? Really? What would you do, Jay? Just kidding. It had to be something big. There's a lot of arrests made. Okay, Tommaso did not go to the Olympics. He has been with Savannah, and yeah, I thought so. I was like, wait, when did that happen? All right, so this happened this morning. This guy looks beat. All right, stop giving the kidnappers the coverage they want, guy. That's what they
taken
want.
some days before she was abducted, has resulted in no leads. We have been talking with FBI sources who are telling us that the way they got this photo was through Google, because Nancy did not have a subscription for video from Nest. They were actually able to obtain it from Google the way they did the video. But because there's no video,
Guys, to me, that doesn't make sense. And I gotta tell you guys, that sounds like a laboratory, una cochina. Now listen, we're in San Jose, we're in Silicon Valley. That doesn't happen often. But anyway, that's funny. Yeah, he needs to stop. He needs to stop giving out the information. But Google has those things. I think they're just taking time to extract the images. I think that they're full of crap because I've purchased Nest and Ring. I use different ones, and they'll hold the stuff just to get you to sign up for a subscription. They'll say, "Hey, you want to know what happened in the last month? Sign up now for $12.99 a month, and we'll give you your stuff you recorded all the way up until." So I don't believe that they don't have more images and more videos. I think they're just trying to recover it. Yeah, you don't need to have a paid subscription for it to be held. I pay for the subscription because I like to go back, but I don't believe any of it. I don't believe that they don't have. They might not have it from a month back, but they have more than they're giving us.
Subscription. There was no timestamp on this. So based on their investigation, they believe that the photo could have been taken on January 11th. This is weeks before the kidnapping, but they're not sure of that. It could have been January 11th. That is an operating theory. They are not sure of that. They want to make that clear. We know that they have swept the area for video from neighbors, anywhere they could get it. It has resulted in no leads with respect to identifying a vehicle or a suspect. They are frustrated about this. Now, I do want to say one other thing. Kash Patel had said shortly after the kidnapping that that photo was taken the day of the kidnapping. That is incorrect. We know that. It was taken before the kidnapping, but again, the operating theory, January 11th, they're not certain of that. Let's talk about Savannah's new video where she says the family is offering $1 million and acknowledging that it would be a miracle if.
Now, I don't know if you guys saw this, but I'm looking to see if there's any breaking news. And I'm watching Brian Enton walk into the home and just step all over the blood drops. Guys, this is crazy. It's what's different than Ring. Nest, I have both of them. I have cameras at my work and cameras at home, but I also have different sets of cameras for different things, and I use both of them. I know a lot of people are saying that. That's weird. They have it not trying. They have it, period. Thank you. I believe so too, Mab.
Her mom is still alive. We are told the FBI never told the family that the chances of finding their mom alive was slim to none. They never said anything about it. This is something that the family kind of came to terms with on their own, we're told. The FBI's $100,000 reward still stands. So $1.1 million is on the table right now, leading to the return of Nancy Guthrie. The FBI wants people to call it, not necessarily calling Pima, because.
All right, we're going to give a book away after this. Mom, I love you. Shout out to Mama Pearl. I'm 46 years old and she's 71, and you just got to love her. She just texted me, don't forget to take the trash cans out. And by the way, great show. I love you, Mama. You guys know that I've been living on my own for many, many years without Mama Pearl, but if she didn't tell me to take the trash cans out, I might have forgot. I love you, Mom. You're always going to be my mom. I'm going to be like 70 and she's going to be like, don't forget to take the trash cans out. Did you go grocery shopping this week? How's the laundry? I love you, Mom. You know I'm being loving and teasing. But anyway, that's how close I am to my mom. All right. Just saying. Love you, Mom. And I will take the trash cans out after. I know the ransom note should stop after today. Yes, I do. I love my mom. Yep. She can't help it. She can't help it.
You then have two law enforcement agencies. You have cross signals. So it's 1-800-CALL FBI. They want serious leads only, and they want to make it clear anybody who's trying to scam the Guthrie family, they will be prosecuted. The last thing,
yeah, I'm in my 30s.
Something I think is very interesting is I spoke with one source from the FBI who said the reality is this is becoming a cold case. But
it's not becoming a cold case. Don't let him tell you that. And Carly, Mama Pearl, Carly says thank you too. It's Carly's trash day tomorrow. Thanks for the reminder. Can you remind Carly and I every week, Mom? And I do call my mom Mama a lot. My mom will say something. I'll be like, I know, Mama. I know. Or, hey, Mama. I do call her that. Some people think it's weird when you're this old and you look this young. No, I'm 46. She's 71. All right. Leave that area. What area? No way. I love San Jose. All right. Yeah, she's, of course, Mama Pearl. Okay, had to resend. All right, let me hit play on this and I'll take a look at my emails.
that doesn't mean it's over. And this source was talking about something that we've seen many times where you could have a kidnapper at a bar one night drinking and then bragging about what he or she did. You could have a girlfriend of the kidnapper at the time who then becomes an ex-girlfriend who knows information and goes to authorities, or that girlfriend could be the one to actually, go to a bar, go to a store, go somewhere and either talk about it directly or insinuate something that is interesting enough to pursue. So even though this is becoming a cold case, and it is clearly one of the reasons why the Guthrie family has upped the reward, that doesn't mean it's over. As what FBI source put it, it just takes that one person, and they believe it's going to happen at some point. One person who opens his or her mouth, and the case.
I agree, and especially the fact that you have multiple people. And now someone just sent me, I love you, Mom. She threw the sign back at me, guys. Mama said, all right. And I don't care what any of y'all think. I'm a mama's girl. All right. I know. Yeah, definitely. Mama. It's my mama. It's Mama Pearl. JD says, hey, Mama Pearl. All right. So somebody sent me a message, Michelle. I won't say your last name. And it's a video. Wait, hold on. It's a picture, and I'm not seeing it. I'm going to share it with you guys, but there's a picture, and on the right hand side, very end of the light of the video light source, like a cell phone could be seen coming into frame as if there's a second person holding the light, and then you've got someone holding the foliage. So let me just pop that up real quick. I don't always do this. I'm really trying to interact with you guys more. Let's finish this and I'll show you. I really want to make sure I engage with you all, my audience, all right? Because a lot of YouTubers don't anymore. They just strictly do that, and if you send them a super sticker or super cash, they get your attention. That is not what we want to do here. All right.
Cracks wide open.
All right, so that was that. Let's do this real quick, and then we're going to give away a book to whoever. Let me pull this up for you because I'm trying to pick up what you're putting down. Okay, so we're looking at the front porch here. At this point, they had already pulled off the nest. And over here, I see a light, but the light that I'm seeing, does anyone have any input on that picture? because the only thing I'm seeing is the foliage. All right, I'm seeing the foliage and the camera that's struggling to produce light on a dark night. So, I mean, if you look at, and I'm not saying you're wrong, you could totally be right. This could totally be somebody holding a light for him, but I also see that this matches this. And I also see this is from Mob Crew. And Mob Crew doesn't know. I love Mob Crew's theories. So I believe Mob Crew's just giving us a theory, and he loves giving theories about lights. I'm not seeing it. I see a light here, and this is the foliage. It's the camera trying to pick up as much light as it can to capture the video, like mine do and yours do. And this is part of it. That's what I think. Anyone in chat? I can't zoom it out anymore. That's the picture. I can do this and that's it. But San Jose, I love San Jose. I've been in San Jose a lot. Count yourself blessed. My mom hasn't spoken to me in 20 years, which is my blessing. Dad left when I was 3. I tell people I'm a lizard, hatched and figured it out. So, hey, we family is what we make of it. All right. So, Indy, you know what? I'm sure you're a stronger, better person for it. And I'm sure you have lots of people that love you. All right. Anyway, I can't zoom it out. It was a full moon. We just talked about that night. So I just think it was picking up light sources. And they also had reflectors too. Yeah, it's a weird shape to be a cell light. I agree. I just don't see it. I don't. But Mob Crew always does. So yeah, and I think he's going to quit talking. I think that's gonna be that. Oh, I got one more thing to show you. I can't stop. I know we've been here for a really long time, and I appreciate you guys being here with me. But let me hop back up here so you can see how messed up this really is. Brian Enton. Now look at, we're in February 2024, 24, 26. This is Brian Enton on February 3rd, approaching the Ring camera in the house. Why in the hell is Brian Enton walking on or approaching this with evidence still being called a crime scene? Why? Because they botched it. There's not even any volume to it. Brian Enton is literally standing on a crime scene on the blood. Why? Does that make anybody not happy about this? And I'm not blaming him, but he's walking on this and showing us this. This was named as the #1 crime scene. Why is he walking on that? Has anyone seen them clean that? Maybe that's why they had they did have the tent set up. #1, they wanted privacy, but #2, it was starting to rain. So they wanted to keep the rain and the media out. Yeah, but now they have it, but they lost the first 24 to 48 hours. 24 to 48 hours are the most important times, Brian Enton. Yeah, I know. I like Brian Enton, but what is happening here? He should have never went on the property and just walked right over. This was the only named crime scene, just in case you guys didn't know. They literally said Savannah Guthrie's mom didn't have a name at first. Savannah Guthrie's mom was kidnapped, and this is considered the crime scene at her house. So Brian Enton goes over there, and he's doing great coverage. I've been watching his coverage, but why is he allowed to go step all over it? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, I've never seen such a dude. That's what we call the Sheriff Barney Fife. The pool got cleaned again. I know, police released the crime scene, and I'm not blaming Brian Enton, but what I'm saying is you can see the missteps. All right, so 8 hours ago, no trespassing signs are finally going up around the Guthrie's house. Why? Only 8 hours ago. We're on week 4. Does that make sense to you guys?
No sabes si fue la familia o si fueron las autoridades. trespassing to the authorities.
Why is it taking so long? Yeah.
¿Qué piensa de todo lo que está pasando?
Hold on, I'm trying to lower the volume. They're not doing any. They're talking in Spanish, so whoever speaks Spanish will understand. But why did it take them to the 4th week to put up no trespassing signs, guys? That just gives you an idea. All right. Don't forget, this could all be part. You're right. It could be. It could be. Yeah, they're talking in Spanish, and someone was asking about Spanish earlier. They're putting the no trespassing so people can't go there. But this was from hours ago from Brian Enton. This was 8 hours ago outside of her house. They absolutely, I can remember in my brain, the very first coverage of this, they claimed that the only crime scene they had, and it was a crime scene, was at Nancy Guthrie's house. All right, so that's Brian out there reporting. Now he's not allowed to go step on the porch anymore and step on the blood. But why was he ever? See, they're not saying anything. Brian's not talking. And you can see how far back now the house is. All right. So again, DNA issues, Nancy Guthrie. At least we know the DNA was able to match somebody. So that's good. But I mean, you know, and then here's another, this is the SWAT raid that happened to this Dominic Evans guy that's in the band, and people are speculating it goes full circle again. I'm hearing chatter that the 2 in question are possibly Dominic Evans, and then his mother was detained, right? They were let go of. Nobody's been listed, but I mean, here it is, right? This is what happened. All right, I'm going to give a book away after this.
Well, I've been pretty quiet
Maybe.
On social media.
Barney can't be fired. He was elected.
Annie Guthrie, my neighbor, she found out last week.
Oh, that's the neighbor again, guys. I heard him say, I found out last week it's Annie Guthrie, or not Annie Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie. That's as loud as it goes, I think. Dang it, I messed that up.
So I've been pretty quiet about this on social media. I don't think I posted anything on it, but Annie Guthrie, my neighbor, she found out last week. It's been
Okay, so that was actually at Annie Guthrie's house when the sheriff was there looking for evidence. So I didn't know that, but now I do by turning it louder. That was them in front of Annie's house. And the guy that was on the phone said, I'm Annie Guthrie's neighbor, and they've kept it pretty quiet. But right now they're out here doing X, Y, and Z. All right. Which rated Friday the 13th? No, I looked at the date on there, but was it Friday the 13th? Yeah, it was. It was February the 13th on Friday. That was the SWAT raid. But they also, this guy that's talking saying Annie Guthrie's my neighbor. They've kept it pretty quiet. I'm really surprised they even put that up there, but then they show this. And again, you see that the lips and a possible maybe a scar on the mouth that they're trying to show. And then again, they show you as Dominic. All right. So guys, don't be surprised when arrests actually start coming if you start seeing some of these people involved. All right. I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss anything. I didn't. If they're cleared, why hasn't the car been returned? Okay, nothing's been returned because nobody's been cleared, nobody's been arrested, nobody's been anything. But then we also got Luke as well. Yeah, I mean, that we got different things going on, and of course, we're gonna have our own theories when we don't know anything. All right, that's additional coverage. Again, all I see is foliage, guys. This is the picture that we're looking at with the light. All right. There's a light right there in his mouth. So, oh, right there. Okay. I see it. Let me drop it down. Okay. So you guys tell me, and then I'm going to give away my book. Tell me if you think there's a second person back there behind him holding a flashlight or holding his phone, because now I see it now that it's a video. All right. Put a 1 if you think there's another person there that just put a phone down or is holding a light. You see that? I couldn't see that in the still. No. I see a bite light. But look at here. That's him with his bite light. And then look at here. Right there. It drops down and another light comes out. Maybe a cell phone? Or was it just the foliage picking up the light? You guys tell me 1 if you think there's another person there. Did you see that? I don't know how many times I can show it. I just realized that there's a light coming from the frame. So he's holding his bite light. We see that. And then another thing drops down. Good call. I wish you'd have sent me the video. All right, I got to thank you for that, Michelle P. Thank you for sending that. You should really have this video, though. Please go to X and check this out. Yeah, I can do a freeze frame of it. But I hadn't noticed that. JLR was trying to get up on being the raid live, so that's a problem. All right. It looks like but it still looks like a second person. And yeah, you're right. It could be a reflector, but it also could be someone holding a light or a cell phone. I'll pause it when it gets to it. It's hard to tell, though, when you pause it. Look, right when it drops down. So here it is. Look at that. It comes right from the frame, unless that's a connection. So his arm, that's his glove. He's holding the shrubbery. Unless his arm came in the frame as a reflection. Now look again. You see how that dropped down there from the side? That's what Mob Crew was going over, and he loves doing that. Look at that. It did look like a cell phone. You're right. All right, one more time, because I am glad I got to see the actual video. You see that? It's another person. It absolutely looks like another person. The blood's dry already. The blood was already dry by then. You could tell people were picking up on that. Well, good call on that, Michelle P, because it absolutely looks like a sliding light or like a cell phone dropped. Like, hey, dude, I'm trying to cover this, but it's dark as hell. And then something drops, like a second person or a second reflector or a second light. It is interesting, right? It's like it drops down and the light falls in place. All right, guys, we're going to be giving away. I don't know why it's still there, guys. I don't know, but I see it now. So now that I see it, I cannot unsee it, but I'm going to give away a book right now. It looks like a second person to me. I'm going to watch it one more time, and then I'll cut it off and we'll give away a book. So his body, that's not his arm. It's coming from a second place. One more time. Look at this. Let me show you something. I'll pause it real quick. Let me go back. I want to show you something. All right, take a look. Please pay attention if you can. Let me make sure we're not. No. Someone called me fat earlier and said I looked pregnant. Does anyone think I look pregnant? Oh, wow. P&O just shouted me out. Awesome. Woo. I just got a shout out from P&O. And Tiff, you know how much I love P&O. All right. Anyway, thank you. Yeah, somebody in chat earlier said, are you bloated? Are you pregnant? All right, I can't unsee it now. But look, let me show you something. Watch carefully. There's that bite light, okay? There's his mask, his eyes, there's his body fully, and his arm is coming up this way, right? So it gets closer to the camera. You can see his hand and gloves are bigger in the shrubbery. But when it comes down about right there. It's not gonna stretch further. But what's coming from the side is not coming from him. Look at that. I know. That's first of all, I'm 46 years old. Second of all, I'm gay AF. Remember my book? I don't have children. Oh no, my wife had the kids for us. So I didn't have to do that. Okay, but so now you see it. His arms coming from the side, which couldn't have dropped down on that side. Now, was it the full moon? What was it? I don't look bloated or pregnant. Well, thank you. I don't know what. I'm laughing because the mods told me that. Fuck that. We're all old. Yeah, I can't. I'm too old to be. Anna is due May 3rd. Congratulations, due in May. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it looks like a second person, guys. Thank you, Cool and Chris. All right, I'm just gonna one more time and then we're gonna give away stuff. So there's the front of this guy. It only got closer because his hand is by it. When his hand and his arm drop down, they're not going further than even this, right? Can we agree on that? That his arm's not coming from the right side. All right, now watch what comes from the right side. Right there, it drops down. And then they cover it. All right, well, that was it. I mean, I can't unsee that anymore now. Thank you, Julie, or whoever said that to me. There it is. All right, done with that. Can't unsee it. Now we're gonna give stuff away. Thank you all for being here. So look to the right if you're looking at a TV. Yeah, can I be the baby daddy? Yes, Michael, you are the new baby daddy. All right, I'm having cravings for ice cream. Julie says, you look the same age as you did a year ago. Well, thank you. All right, so that was good. Thank you so much, Michelle P, for sending that. Now we're going to give away my book. And you don't have to do anything. You just have to come up on the app sorter and you have to make sure you claim your prize. So I'm going to pull this up and I'll put my email address down below. I put this one because at the very bottom it's guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. Yep, another person. Hello, look. Oh, look pregnant for fuck's sake, right? Damn, man. Damn. I'm gonna be 47 in July. I can't believe I'm gonna be 47, man. I know I'm always craving ice cream. That means I'm always pregnant. What's up from Vermont? You know, not just regular ice cream, strawberry cheesecake ice cream. All right, let's go. Now you're tricking yourself. Hey, maybe. All right, let's give away a book. My book. I'm going to sign it and send it to you. All you have to do is claim it. Whoever wins. So let's go. Hit that like button, drop a comment, share the stream, put that in here, and let's go. All right, you don't have to be anything other than in the US because I'm not paying $60 again to ship these books. All right, so guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. If you don't give two shits about winning my book, then you probably don't want to be here anyway. So, Mary Lou Rosas, are you still here? Thank you, Juanita. I appreciate that. I've been seeing Mary Lou like the whole time, and then I don't see her now. So she's the winner, and it doesn't matter if she's a member or not. So if you come forward, Mary Lou Rosas, are you here? That's the problem sometimes with when giving these things out to non-members. I never get a hold of them. So what do I do with that, guys? Mods, tell me what I do. All right. Yes, because he has to lean towards the camera. It's the backpack strap. It possibly could be. There's a possibility. But I also think there's two. Yeah, psychology says you'll try to give. Absolutely. I agree. Right. All right. So I don't know where Mary Lou is. I'd like to give that to her, but she's not going to claim it. I'm going to pick someone else then. All right. If you guys aren't here, then I'm going to have to redo it. You guys have to be here and claim it. You don't even have to be a member. You just got to be there. All right. Let's go. I didn't see her. I mean, I don't know where she went, but Julie Stockmeyer. And where's the other one who somebody won and then they didn't? Now, Julie's always around. She comes and watches shows all the time. So, oh, you're here. Okay. All right. All right. So good. You know what? Julie, I picked a second person. I don't know if you're interested. I do have a couple of books. So Mary Lou and Julie, each one of you want a book. If you want me to sign it and send it over to you, send me an email to guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. And Mary Lou Rosas and Julie both won. I will sign it and ship it to you. It's guilty of crime by j@gmail.com. All right, congratulations. Thank you. She's here, and I ended up picking two because I see Julie around all the time as well. So why not? Let's spread the love. All right, if you won, reach out to me at guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com. Send me your name, your address, and I will certainly ship you a book. Remember, it's for 18 and over. It's an adult book. So I'd say 16 and over, but it's an adult book. It's not for little kids, okay? Nothing about me is for little kids unless I'm hanging out with them. All right, guys, almost 4 hours again. Damn, I don't know how that happens. All right, congratulations, ladies. Thank you for being here. Hit that like button, subscribe, share. I'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Mwah. Thank you. Love you. Mom made it to nursing home, Jay. Yes. Arting with Lynn. Send me an email. Thank you so much for that. Mom made it to nursing home. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. You know how I feel about moms. They're precious. Take care of them. Love you guys. See you later. Midnight Lace. You know I love you. Thank you. I can't wait to meet all of you guys so much. Thank you. Have a wonderful night. Mwah. I hope you guys got your head full of information tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. You're almost 70? All right, you could read my book then. All right, it's okay. Bye, Lolo. Bye, Nana Rocks. Bye, Oh Yeah Yeah. Bye, Fat Cakes. You got to follow. You've got my follow. I'll be back. Yes, come back, come back, come back, and win some prizes, baby. All right, good night. Love you guys. I'm going to go eat and do my thing. Mwah. See you later. Oh, yeah, I got to take the trash cans out. Carly, don't forget to take your trash cans out. Mama Pearl said take them out. Love you guys. Peace.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?